Welcome back to the Booktroverts podcast. I'm McKayla.
I'm Meg.
And today we are doing part 2 of our Onyx Storm deep dive, where we are going to be talking about key moments and theories. And this episode will cover chapter 44 through the end, which I think is 66.
I think so.
So if you want coverage for the first part of the book, see the last episode. We covered all of that. Basically, we're picking up right after the Isle Kingdoms. We're also going to be sharing things that we think could be potentially happening in book 4 at the end of the episode. So all of like our theories, things that people have sent to us as well. We'll be going over all of that. So on our last episode, we ended with the team had found the Irids and they were wrapping things up at the Isle Kingdom. They were coming back to Basgiath. So they come back. The whole time they were worried that they were going to get court-martialed, which I just thought it was so, like, I don't know why I was so surprised to see like that term, because it is a war college, so that does track. But I don't know, it just like caught me off guard. But they thought they were going to get court-martialed because, as we had mentioned previously, they were supposed to like go to an isle, come back to Navarre, then go to another isle, come back and like report and all that. And Violet basically makes the decision, like, we don't have time for that. We have things we got to get done. We have like, we don't have time to waste. And it was going to take so much time to come back and forth because they have to go slower for the Griffins. So they decide, screw them, we're going. And they're gone for like 3 weeks, I think, is the whole Isle Kingdoms section. Well, they get back and they're all worried. We're about to get court-martialed. This is not going to be good for us. And they end up not getting court-martialed because King Tari, however you say his name, is there. And he is just so happy to see Auric because he has no clue where his son has been for the last, I don't know, what are we at, like 6 months he's been part of the war college now?
At least.
Yeah. And he's just so happy to have his son back where he knows where he is and not in a brothel where they were searching, that he says, you know, we're just so happy that my son is back and he is not harmed. We're going to just ignore this whole thing and no one is getting in trouble for this. So Auric saves the day once again.
And you know what's crazy? For Daddy Aetos being such a King Tari fan and up his ass, he was so pissed off that they could not get everyone in trouble. It was just, no, this shouldn't go against, you know what I mean? They should totally be punished, every single one of them, the entire squad. Reading that, I go, oh my God, this is perfect. 'Cause he's probably fuming, which probably gives him more ammunition down the line, but it was...
Yeah. And I don't know if you said it or if someone else said it and I read it in a comment, but someone was saying that Colonel Aetos, now General Aetos, but I refuse to acknowledge his new promotion, that he gives Professor Umbridge energy.
I can't remember if I talked about this or if we were talking about someone else who posted it, but I'm fully on board with that because he is that need to follow every single rule. He is going to live by the codex type thing. And if anyone falls out of line, he's going to do something about it. And that was very much Umbridge. And also making up your own rules in a way each time because now that he runs the college.
Yeah. I do think she's still worse in my book, like on my ranking scales. I really have not found a book villain that has beat her. Like she has really been holding that number 1 spot steady. But he definitely is up there. Like he can be included in the conversation because he lives and dies by the code. And it just seems like his motive is not to better the students or improve the military for Navarre. His thing is literally he's so self-serving. Like it's to advance himself and take down as many people with him as possible.
Yeah. The only person I will say that probably goes above Umbridge is Varish. It is the only person that I think I really was so thrilled when he died. I had no problem celebrating that moment. Yeah. But still, Umbridge as a whole, because there's so much more time there and so much more damage to many people that we get to see. That's more powerful. But Varish is probably up there.
Yeah, and I think it's because she is the entire 5th book.
The whole book.
You're dealing with her. Where Varish, it's really only part 1 of Iron Flame. Yeah. So, like, yes, he is absolutely despicable. But it feels like we only have to deal with him for, like, a little bit. I can push through. Umbridge, like, you just know I'm going to have to deal with this woman for the entirety of this book.
Yeah, I will say for this series, it's definitely been one person that you can't stand for a little bit. Like you said, a part 1 of the book or a decent chunk of the book. But to your point, Harry Potter was very much the one person or the focus or whatever was the entire book. And then it led up to the whole series. But Daddy Aetos is definitely giving some type of vibe.
He's
Umbridge.
Giving villain. He's giving Umbridge. And he has been here since the first book. So we have dealt with him a long time. So
yeah. And it's a slow build up, too, to how much more we hate him each time.
Yeah, he's getting worse as the books go on. And I will cheer when we read about his downfall. That is
I don't
guaranteed.
think anyone is on his side at this point.
I don't think there's any fans.
No.
And if you are a fan of him, I worry about you because I don't see anything redeeming. We all know I hated Dane with a burning passion.
Hated him.
In the first 2 books. And I was like, there's nothing she can do to make me like him. And she kept being like, he's just a 21-year-old that like wants to listen to his dad and follow the rules. And she did redeem him in my eyes. And I can look past some of the things he did. The dad, I don't think there's really anything. Because I'm like, you're a grown adult with like a fully formed frontal lobe. You're making these decisions consciously. I think this is you as a person.
Oh, I think so, 100%. I think the power has just given them that space to be more of that villain. It's really the with power comes great responsibility is pretty much him.
I wish we got, which could be like a cool like bonus scene, or even like in a future book, like a flashback or something. I would love to see Colonel Atos getting, I don't know, the letter, the missive that Lilith has been killed.
Yeah.
And just to see his reaction, clearly he was definitely excited. I think he was her aide, but he probably faked being her friend, but he was preying on her downfall. He was probably pumped. And like how soon after that, finding out about that, did he like start hitting up the king? Like, hey, so I know we have this opening. I'd be great. I used to work for that woman. I know it in and out. The training period will be really minimal.
Right?
Tap me in, coach.
He definitely had I'm warming the bench and now it's my turn to actually be out there with the rest of the team. Let me do my job.
Yeah, Colonel Atos, he is something. Also from the Isle Kingdoms that we find out in this second half is the Quest Squad was able to secure 40,000 soldiers through an alliance with, again, I don't know how to say this isle, Zahilna?
That's how I've been saying it, yeah.
Whatever, the one where Dane got bitch slapped.
Yeah.
And maybe that was like a, hey, sorry, we killed Traeger. Like, we'll give you 40,000. We love the dragons. We've been planning for your arrival. I think that one was pretty much a done deal. But they do have 40,000 soldiers. At the end of the book, we know that Auric had left to go get some of them. The first, like, wave or whatever.
Right.
I don't think these soldiers are really going to be as much of an asset as they think. Because, yeah, they can probably throw the daggers and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't think they're going to be able to compete with Wyvern and Venom.
I'm with you because the whole thing that is a huge thread across this book is do not stay on the ground for long because the venom are going to drain, which means if you're in that moment, you are going to be drained as well. And if you think about it, who's carrying these people away? None of the dragon care to be, aid and dragging people by their claws or anything to save them. It's very much nope, they're going to be sacrificed at the end of the day. So I don't know who.
I would assume they're more in line with like infantry quadrant, like their boots on the ground, they're traditional, like how we would look at army in human world. Yes, they'd be on the ground. So I feel like they're just such easy targets to take them. Now, they don't really have magic in them. So as far as we know, I don't know if that determines what they drain, who they drain.
I know.
I just don't feel like the 40,000 soldiers are going to be the key to winning the war.
I think it'll definitely be a last line of defense situation. They're not probably going to be the first people out there. I don't think it's going to be people. It'll be the dragons and everything out there first.
Like, you're going to stand in front of this door that blocks the ward stone.
Right.
All 40,000 of you, you're just going to stand right here.
Just going to hang here.
Sing
kumbaya.
Last line of defense. Like,
exactly.
Shit's going down. We have no hope anyways. Like, just throw them out. It's their time.
Yeah.
We also, when the team Quest Squad comes back, I think they like walk in and battle brief is happening. Like that's the first thing that they are greeted with. And it's Devira giving an update, and she basically talks about how the town or the province of Seneva, I think that's how you say it. I hate fantasy because I'm just like blah blah blah. I have no clue. Seneva has been destroyed, I guess is the right word to say. And then she gets into the specifics, and it took 12 wyvern and 12 venom to take out the province, and the province had 25,000 people. So I think that was a really important part of the book, was to see the numbers, because obviously our team, Violet and crew, had seen that when they fought at Resin at the end of Fourth Wing. I think there was only 4 of them, and they saw the damage that just 4 could do. I think it was helpful for the rest of the school, especially the people who didn't go with them to Orisha to be part of the revolution, to actually hear like, this is how much damage 12 of them can do. Just imagine if they had the numbers that we had.
I know,
the devastation
we
they
don't
could cause.
know. We don't know the numbers that they have because, I mean, we know they have these family structures and everything, but at what point do they have too many? Are they hiding a bunch and kind of training them up? There's so much we still don't know, but yeah, if they have a group of 100, good luck. Yeah. There goes everything.
And we don't know how many actual venin there are, but then they create the wyvern because how many times have they talked about like, they killed the rider or the venin rider and then just like tons of wyvern fall from the
bodies
sky
are dropping
because the wyvern are connected to that one body. So like, how many wyvern do they max out at per person? Is there a limit? Does the limit not exist? So you have to take that into account too. And it seems like they're making the wyvern from runes, at least because they found one inside. I don't know what exactly the process is, but it seems like they could replenish pretty easily.
And they have different kinds. At first it was the red flames, and then now it's green flames, and they're leveling up what kind of wyvern they're creating. So I don't know if one, is it based on the level of venin that you can create different ones? Or to your point, is it really the runes and how you're able to master them? Can you create a variety? So if the limit does not exist on how many you can create, what else can we go up against? That could be basically a super wyvern, basically. A variety of a couple together. There's a lot of things that TBD that we don't get answers for, I think, on purpose.
Because I don't think we ever get a number of how many people were at Resin in that first encounter with them in Fourth Wing. So to actually get a number, like 12 took out 25,000 people.
I mean, it goes back to our point about the 40,000 soldiers. It's pretty much just, there you go.
Yeah, just put them against 14 and they'd be taken out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy. So I think that was really eye-opening for people who, like, if Aura was still alive, I think that would have played well for her, because she would be like, this actually is a big problem. And I think also it's going to cause like some panic amongst the students of like, what the hell? So. Like, this is what has been hidden from us. And clearly they need to go back to, I forget what it was called, the Signet class that they were doing.
Oh yeah, the Signet sparring.
And hone that.
Oh yeah.
Hone that up. Also, I think this was after the battle brief. Riddick looks at Violet like, girl, we had a deal.
Our boy.
It's time. He was not letting her off the hook with that. He was just like,
that was so quick.
You need to let them know. So she has to tell Rhee and Sawyer that Xaden is now venin, and they take it well.
Okay. Is it just me who was very suspicious on the fact that all three, because Jasenia also found out, and I think she was the only one who was a little, they specifically had her find out too. Yeah, it was because I kept saying the core 4 plus Jasenia need to find out.
I missed that completely.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you think about it, Sawyer's with her. There's really nothing probably going to be hidden between the two of them at this point. But I don't know. For me, it was super odd that they kind of just took it and said, okay, we're going to trust Violet on this. No one tried to do anything about it. I think at one point, he kind of just looked at him a little bit weird, and Violet called her out and said, stop staring at him, all this stuff. But there was nothing, no argument. It was very much just an off-page thing. And then that was it.
Yeah. I think they were just like, okay, like, he's part of the group. He's connected to you.
Right.
I guess I didn't really read into it too much. I just more thought like, oh, like, if your friend tells you something like, oh, I did this or whatever, and you're just like, okay, I wouldn't do that, but okay, you're my girl, like, ride or die, whatever. I'll be here if it doesn't work out. We need to complain about it. I took it more that way. I just thought it was so funny that Riddick was like, yeah, no. I remembered this. He definitely thought about it the whole way back from that aisle as he was playing the playlist on his JBL speaker, which that has been wonderful to experience on Spotify.
Literally one of my favorite playlists.
Bumping that, and the whole time he was like, this bitch, she better fucking tell him when we get back. I'm not letting her out of this deal.
Oh my God. It was so good because really he has been all about her safety and making sure that someone's always there with her, because whenever someone isn't there, shit goes down and it's just insane. But I loved how he just called her out. It's so on par for him. It's perfect.
It also removes Riddick, and so obviously they refer to the person at the end as a brother, so I'm assuming it's a male character. So Rhee wasn't even in my mind for that, but it does take Riddick and Sawyer out of contention for being that new brother, because Xaden specifically says that this person has known for 5 months what he was going through, and they are just finding out now. So I know people had been speculating online, like Sawyer is also missing at the end of the book. We don't really know where he is. Last we see with him is like him trying to do the maneuvers or run up on the dragon. But this would take Sawyer out.
Yeah,
because
I agree. I ended up rereading Rhee's chapter a bit, and specifically because I was trying to figure out who was there at the point that she was talking, because we do get all of those point of views to see the larger battle, because in reality, like Rebecca has said, we're only seeing things through Violet's eyes, and that's truly the point of view. And all of them were, I think, there because at that point, Rhee basically said, okay, we're doing a formation and we need all of the power, even if it's not the whole squad, we're all going to have to deal with it and move on. So I was just trying to figure out, because there's a lot of people they don't mention that when Violet wakes up. Like, it's just her brother, Imogen, and making sure, does she know where people are? I know they say Garrick's missing and stuff, but it was very much she's not talking to the whole clan. It's not like there's 15 people around
she hasn't,
her
checked
that we
in
know
with
of.
everyone. Yeah.
Right.
But I don't know. I would feel confident, saying with my full chest, Sawyer, not part of it. Also, Riddick, not part of, not in the running to be that person.
I don't think either of them would have wanted to.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, between Riddick finding out and the ending, a month max, I think.
Max.
Because
if that.
And Darna leave, that to the end of the book is 2 weeks. No, 10 days. So this, I feel like a month, not even, because I think they said the boards are failing at a month. So it's definitely not enough time for them to be in the running for the new brother award. Yeah.
And I think that's specifically why it said that this person has seen me struggle with this for the past 5 months, because that's someone who knew from the beginning, because I think literally that would have been the time that he turned Venin and found out and, and continued his battle with it. So
Yeah. I also had in my notes that the awards at Arisha are failing rapidly. So I think you do have the right stuff. It's just
I think I skipped a huge chunk in my notes because this was so much more of a holy shit moment.
No, you're fine. But yeah, this is when we find out they have a month. And then we also find out that Xaden has decided, because now he is the Duke, he can make whatever decisions he wants. Yeah. He has decided to open Tyrandor's borders to the Poromish civilians, so the people from Poromil. But his condition is, you can come, but you have to cross the Madaro Pass. Not that he was saying it as you have to walk the parapet type thing. You're only welcome. It's just that is the way to get from one place to the other. And so he was like, I'm happy to take you, as long as you can get through that. He's like, as long as you can cross, you're welcome to stay. And some of the people are not about this decision, but Violet is very happy that he's done this.
I mean, he's taking in citizens that basically, as bad as it sounds, are pretty much just up for grabs for Venin to destroy, because they truly have been strategically picking where they're draining the cities and attacking, because it obviously is slowly breaking, the area. They'd have people from Beskai at their other locations would have to pass through that. So, of course, they're going to interact with Venin, and then there's going to be less riders and all that jazz to fight. So, of course, she's going to be excited that he's taking in people, because that means more people could be safe. Because if they can get these Wardstone up and running, then they have a section and they have a base that people can just hang out and not feel fear literally every single moment of their life.
Yeah, and Poromil doesn't have wards. They don't have a Wardstone there that they could even try and fire. So I think he's like, ours are failing, but you can at least come for the month. But this stipulation that he puts into place is foreshadowing for the end, because that is what Rhee and her little team from her POV chapter, that's what they are protecting, and that's the people that they are trying to help in that scene. The timing just was not great. They decided to come right when the Venins tried to attack. I'm sure Panchek probably said, the people are on the move. This is the time to strike, because traitor.
Which, in all hindsight, knowing that now makes so much sense, because why else would you attack at that point?
Yeah. Do
you know what I mean?
He's not really mentioned too much in the book, but now you can go, when they talk about how many times did he give Violet's location or things like that. This is a prime example, because that, I think, is the only way that they would be able to separate Violet or make her more vulnerable, because she even says during the fight, no, Theophany would expect me to go save everyone, so I'm going to stay here and take her on one-on-one. And that's the only way they would have known to time it that way.
Oh, yeah, because like you said, everyone knew that Violet pretty much did the same thing. She wanted to try to save everyone. She wanted to do too much. And you can't be in 5 places at once. I mean, I think Quinn technically could with her projections and stuff, but not the true ability. It's not like it's a thing that was actually introduced or anything, that you can be multiple places and have different copies. So of course they're going to go and say, okay, let's test her out and see what she's actually going to save. So it was really nice to see the rest of the group stand up and say, okay, no, we're all going to take our jobs and you're going to go do this and focus on it and don't come over here, because we see you, we're going to be pissed because you didn't follow through.
No, I completely agree. I have more thoughts on Paddle when we get there.
Yeah.
Just because it was interesting. We were in so many places.
We were.
The next like big major thing that happens, and I think you had brought it up on the last episode, is Lynx, who is a first year, manifests shadow wielding in the middle of class.
Did no one pay attention to this? I'm sorry, because how do you not see that there's really, because as we have been finding out, that there's certain signets that you only have one of. They're very rare, so it's pretty much a one in a lifetime, and then when the person dies, nature realizes the balance is not there. How did no one pick up on that at that moment?
I have no clue. I think Violet like definitely clocks it and is like, and she makes a note. I think she makes a note like, oh, this is nature.
Yeah.
Like, correcting the balance. But yeah, I don't know how anyone else wasn't suspicious. Like, why do we have a second one if this was supposed to be so rare that Xaden had it? Also, if I was Lynx, I'd be shitting my pants. I'd be like, oh, why do I have this? Because he obviously doesn't know. I would be so worried. Like, am I now this guy's enemy? Does he think I'm coming for his spot? Like, I didn't ask for this.
Right? And also on top of it too, Xaden is there to actually be the one to talk him through it, of, you know, calming him down and getting him to understand what he has to do, and then moving him forward, and then kind of just goes, okay, I gotta figure this out. So one other part that was interesting, because through this entire series, I really don't think birthdays are celebrated. Birthdays really aren't mentioned. And Violet ends up getting Xaden a bracelet of sorts with a piece of onyx and also a piece from the Ryerson house on it for his birthday. Now, I don't know. Everything seems to be done on purpose. They've been together and they've gone at least through, what, one other birthday of his based on the timeline?
Yeah, because they've probably been together a year.
Yeah, something
year and a half, maybe.
Right. So you had to be with him at some point for his birthday to have happened.
We've celebrated at least one person's birthday.
We've celebrated it. Why do I feel like this is going to be a very crucial piece to him always coming back to her? And I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit at the end, towards the end, so bear with me here. But when he is channeling and he ends up stopping himself because
at the
of
end,
his
like
love.
when he goes crazy with the shadow.
When he goes crazy and goes ASIM status.
Yeah, like when Sigale's been captured.
Yeah,
okay.
I feel like this bracelet is going to be something to bring him back to realization of why he went this way in the first place. It wasn't because he was seeking out more power. It was to try and stop the Venom from hurting Violet. It was everything surrounding her. So I feel like this birthday gift is going to come in handy of just some random reminder. He just looks at his wrist and goes, oh, that's why I'm doing this. And I could totally be going far into this thought about just a bracelet being more meaning, but it just seems very odd to just throw in a, let's do some random birthday gift for Xaden, just because.
I think she is very strategical with every piece. I think even the stuff that people are like, this was fluff in the book, everything is on the page to serve a purpose, because these books are already lengthy. Why are we going to add, you know, if it was a paragraph, okay. But
sure,
if I remember correctly, that was like at least a page talking about this gift.
Because it was after the sparring thing. Yeah.
It's your birthday. So, like, why would she waste a page on a bracelet, especially in a third book when none of us need convincing about their relationship? She's done it throughout this whole book in so many other ways. Yeah. So, I agree. I think it could come back. I did reread the chapter today, but I didn't catch it, so maybe you saw it or maybe it didn't happen. But when he is going crazy, does he make any mention of looking at the bracelet?
No.
Like, is there any mention of the bracelet? Because that could be interesting.
I don't think in that moment he mentions the bracelet. And at that point, I have no idea if it's just maybe more of a symbol of the fact that they are truly together and that nothing can break them apart, whatever. You know,
I'd assume he's
that
probably wearing it, though.
I would think so, too.
He seems like
I
the
mean,
type.
especially because he was definitely, you know, mentioning many things that what Violet could have. He's mentioned that she could be a duchess many times. I mean, the hint at that is extravagant, and how many times he says it throughout the book. But yeah, I don't know. I just know in that chapter he stops channeling because of her. It's pretty much I'm gonna stop before I go too far at this point. So I just think there's gonna be something that brings him back, and maybe it's not the bracelet. Maybe that's just truly a different meeting, but it's definitely important for something. I mean, and this is why Rebecca, you know, makes me think crazy thoughts on what's happening, because everything is intentional.
The Easter eggs. Also, the fact that it wasn't just like, oh, when we were at the island, I was in the bookstore, I saw the bracelet and I bought it, like as a memory, like a little token from our trip. Yeah. Because if I remember correctly, the bracelet is like, she asked Brennan to save a piece when the house was being renovated. So it's like she jumped through hoops. Brennan had to help her. Like this was planned out, this gift. So I think I definitely could see in book 4 him off with the venom, and if he feels like he's starting to kind of lose himself, looks down, and it's just like a physical reminder of, oh yeah, this is my goal. Right. I don't think it's gonna like help protect him, or unless she freaking put runes in it.
She's terrible at them, so someone has to help her.
Them, so good point. She is terrible at them.
Unless she also had asked Brennan to do that of, can you please put something in here, because I can't do shit with the runes.
Yeah, I think it's just maybe something tangible. Like, she has the engagement ring or the wedding ring now, and he'll have the bracelet, and it's just like a physical reminder in case mentally they kind of stray, to be like, oh yeah, this, lock them back in. Yeah. So I think it's a good catch, and I definitely agree with that. It will come back up.
Yeah. And it was also interesting too, because around that same time, I think when I think it was right about the time that Lynx has the shadow manifesting for his signet, that Xaden goes back to Arisha and basically says, I'm not staying here. I mean, it's not going to be safe for him at that point anyways. And what we don't find out until a little bit later is that Brendan is trying to mend him, because he wanted to see if there was anything he could be doing for his, I don't want to call it an illness, but the fact that he turned venom, like, there was nothing that could actually be done. His condition, you know.
Yeah, and we find out it wasn't like that, oh, I flew back and Brendan, could you help me? It had been going on for a while.
Right.
This had been an ongoing, you know, doctor's visit.
Yeah, exactly. Doctor's visit.
Interesting, puts Brennan as someone who has known for a while.
I know, because we think that it probably was just mentioned, oh, he found out in that moment. But to your point, it had been a consistent thing that he probably went and told Brendan as soon as he could to try and see if there was anything to stop it. And who else better to know than someone who was probably saved by someone who turned venom as well. So, you know what I mean? It's bringing back Naolan a little bit.
Yeah. And I totally was like going again. Sorry, we're going to be jumping all over because we got to... Yeah. Things are foreshadowing. I had told you that for my theories for New Brother, Brennan was one of my more like unhinged one. Like, wow, what a great way to be like, oh, I just turned, when really he's been turned this whole time. If that Naolan theory is true. Like, it requires a lot of theories to be true for this to have been a thing. Will say though, during my reread today, I no longer think Brennan is in the running for New Brother, and we'll get to it. It has to do with like when Sloane siphons, but I think even though he is someone who has known, I don't think he is the one who has turned. I think it's someone else.
I think it's someone closer to Xaden, is what I'll say right now, until we get to that point. But I really think it's someone closer.
Yeah, so I just needed to update that, because I was like going back and forth on the Brennan thing, but for my reread, I was like, I don't think it's him. But it is just important to note that he is someone who has known for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
And then right after the Lynx manifesting his shadows, all that, we see a conversation between Violet and Sawyer where he has now decided that he is going to start trying to ride again. I know at the beginning of the book, he was contemplating retiring. He was meeting with like the retired riders, even though he hasn't even graduated yet. And I think he was just depressed because you've lost a limb. How am I going to continue? And again, just another nod to Rebecca, just with the representation. I just love it. It just reminds me of like when you watch Paralympics, which that's on an extreme scale, but just seeing people who traditionally, some people in that sense might be like, oh, I could never do this, and they're like out there freaking crushing it. And I love that Violet is giving him that encouragement. Like, who cares? You can still do it. You just have to approach it from a different way. It does not discredit how you're doing it, though. Just because you have to maybe have your seat a little different, or your technique has to be a little different. At the end of the day, like, you're still in the air fighting with everyone. You're just like us. How you got there,
Yep.
or the way you have to get there, and the technique does not change who you are and what you are. And I just think such a great message just in general, and love the representation. And she even says, like, look at me, like, Taryn has to bend down so I can get up because I don't have the strength to run up his leg. I have a saddle because I can't stay on. Do you look at me any different?
Yeah.
She's still the most relied on person in the battle.
I know. And it's crazy because I think when it doesn't happen to you and you're that third person seeing it happen, you're always cheering them on of, okay, you've got this, whatever it is. But if it turns into where it's impacting you, you do kind of go into that state of depression or shock, whatever it might be. And the fact that, to your point, that she says, oh no, look at me. Do you guys look at me differently? It's bringing him back to the moment and saying, have you ever once questioned the fact that I did things differently? I did things differently literally since she started the freaking place. So it's, have you ever questioned that? No, then no one should be questioning you. And if they are, then we have an issue with them because they don't belong with our group at that point. And I think it's just amazing to see that. It just goes to show how much Violet has grown too. And I know we're more on Sawyer talking about this point, but I just want to go into how the fact that she's growing so much as a leader in this and really is someone who is just encouraging other people and building them up. And it's so awesome to see. So, I mean,
I agree.
Phenomenal overall, the entire scene I loved because it was very good for everyone.
Yeah. And speaking of leadership, it was also interesting too because we basically find out that Ree is kind of what is holding him back. And it's not because Ree is... He doesn't like Ree, but it's an interesting dynamic that has been introduced where he's just like, she's my squad leader. I don't want to disappoint her. It's just like an interesting dynamic in the group that, like, when she first becomes squad leader, they're all just so excited. And I think it's just like, oh, you're one of us, whatever. And just how quickly just those natural kind of power dynamics are coming into play where now he's, instead of being like, she's my friend, she wouldn't care, he's viewing her instead as the squad leader, and she's going to be disappointed because I'm going to let down the squad. It was just an interesting thing. And then, we obviously get her POV later and we see how her leadership is. And Violet later in the book does have to have a conversation with Ree and be like, it's better when, because I think it's when they're at Orisha and he's practicing trying to get up on the dragon. And she basically tells Ree, like, I think it's best if you're not here while he does that because he's so worried about disappointing you that you're going to actually hold him back. So it's just, they're leaders, but in very different ways, and they motivate people differently, which I think is completely natural. It's not a dig at Ree. It's just, I just think it's interesting how quickly those dynamics within the group have started to shift a little.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially because if you think about it, too, in the third year, Ree probably was setting herself up to go, to be in the next level and continue that. I really see herself
she probably was going to go for like wing leader or something.
Exactly. She definitely, that was probably her name written all over it. And that would have been another shift in the dynamic too. And I mean, granted, we have no idea what's going to happen. I don't even know if they're going to still be in school for a third year. Who knows if they're going to, continue to do it at Orisha and, all of that stuff. But it is pretty interesting how you see the dynamic shift, especially because Violet's not really there for it. I mean, they're on Quest Squad and they don't see what's happening back at Beskayeth until they're, with this group.
Yeah, and Ree and Sawyer weren't on Quest Squad with them. So, like,
no,
what was being said when Sawyer is starting to recover? What got him to the point that being like, hey, yeah, I think I'm ready to try? Was that Ree encouraging him? Was it Justinia? Was it himself? It's just curious.
Right.
And yeah, again, not a dig at Ree at all. I don't think this is like her being a bad person by any means. It's just he's looking at her more as a leader in this situation and the person he reports up to first instead of this is my friend who would support me. So
exactly.
Just an interesting point, and I'm really excited though that he decided to ride again because I would have been really sad if he retired.
It just would have been weird. The whole dynamic would have been completely shifted and different if he wasn't involved. You know what I mean? As a rider, I think if he went to something else, it just would have been weird. So I'm happy to.
I do have, this is not my theory. This is just something I've seen on social media. I think the Fantasy Fangirls actually talked about it too as well. And I just wanted to get your take on it. I don't really know how I feel about it. So there's a theory that people think some of the other riders may have been touched by the gods. And they're thinking that like there's 6 gods the first 6 riders, the 6 dragons that are bonding with people. They're trying to do a 1-to-1 match for our 6 main characters to 6 of the gods. And obviously we know Violet is dedicated to Dune, or partially dedicated. There is an epigraph for chapter 49 that says, while most deities allow temple attendants to choose their timeline of service, only 2 require a lifetime of dedication. Dune and Loyal, for both war and love change souls irrevocably. And I just feel like this could potentially, if you're someone who likes that theory and you're on board with that, this could be hinting towards Violet and Xaden. And Violet is partially dedicated to Dune, which is the god of war, and Xaden could be to Loyal, who is the god of love, because he's like obsessed with her.
Obsessed.
To say lifetime service, they always talk about how they're in this together, nothing's going to change it. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about the theory, because I don't know, wouldn't there be like physical things that each person would present with?
I know.
Because even later when Mira and Brennan are talking about, oh, they took you to this place, and she's like, no, I was actually dedicated at this other place. I don't know, I just thought everyone, no matter who you were a priestess of or dedicated to, you had that silver hair.
Yeah.
Or is that only people to Dune?
I question if it is only Dune. Maybe they all have a specific variety that they would either look like, or maybe a trait that they would have down the line. I don't know, because that would be an interesting one if each of them had different traits, because I'm guessing here that the gods would be different and that they would have different, styles. Literally, you're going to laugh, but in my head, I'm seeing Hercules and the variety of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm picturing. And I'm just trying to see, like, it's so bad, but you know what I mean? Of just the variety that there are, and they all have their own flavor of how they do things. And it would be interesting. And I think too, I don't know how I feel about this theory, so I'm kind of just wishy-washy here on if I'm with it. But another thing I guess that could support it too is the top 6 riders is interesting, because the first 6 riders were the strongest of their time. Would these top 6 riders also be the strongest? And would it be one that's from, touched by the gods type thing?
Yeah.
Because that could be an interesting thing too, is if it's once in a lifetime, does this kind of happen and change the tides of the war? I don't know.
I think it's interesting. Like, it definitely made me pause when I heard it. Like, oh, that's actually kind of like that would be like a really cool take. But I'm having a hard time getting behind it fully. Also, just because the point of it's outlawed in Navarre, where all these people, most of these, like, they're from, or they're areas that they're like are loyal to.
Right.
It's so, like, 6 different sets of parents would have broken the law to have their child dedicated. I don't know. That's the part that's kind of giving me a hold up. But I just think it would be an interesting take if the story went there, because 6 seems to be a big number. And it would be cool to see, like, who lined up with the other one, like who got luck on their side.
Right.
Maybe Jack Barlow.
Jack fucking Barlow. Yeah, seriously. I don't
He's
know.
a cockroach.
I know, yeah. It's interesting too, because is the way that dedication is, and this is me going far into a thing, but they keep mentioning, what path is Violet going to be on, and there's multiple, and it seems like there's this weird prophecy, or we don't know how it's going to go for her, that it's kind of muddled for the situation. And I just question, did these groups have something that kind of came to them and said, okay, you might need to do this because in 20 years your kid's going to need to fight in this war and has to have luck on their side, or but I don't know. I know the gods are going to play an important part. They have to, for everything to be starting to get involved with them and getting more detail. But I don't know, that'd be an interesting one if it actually unfolds. I'm not shipping it, but I'm not also trashing on it and saying, oh my God, that makes no sense at all. You need to explain it to me. What I mean?
I definitely think it's a cool take. Like, I did not think of it. It definitely made me pause, but I don't know if I'm like 100% on board with it. I know I had jumped to chapter 49 because the epigraph, but chapter 48 and 49, like, thank you for the smut girls. Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's literally all I wrote was thank you. I am loving all the TikToks who are trying to go over the scene and figuring it out. And, I'm just randomly chilling here and someone walks in on me reenacting it. I think we all have been there and trying to figure this out.
They love a chair.
They really like chairs.
What will it be next? A love seat?
I don't know.
Maybe. A sectional, a recliner? Like, what are we doing next?
I don't know. It's the variety has not really gone to different furniture. It's just been pretty similar.
Yeah, I'm also just loving those TikToks as well, where they're like, logistically, how would this work? And they're calling their husbands in. I'm like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. You're playing Zayden here. Where do you go?
They're so funny.
Oh yeah, they're so good.
Perfection, and literally just 2 full chapters of, in the words of Nicole, bang, bang, bangity bang.
Yeah.
And I love it. And then very quickly after that, they, let's get it on. And they're sleeping, and Zayden's having a nightmare. Violet thinks she's having a nightmare, and she's like, yeah, this is like what's going on. It's crazy. And he's like, honey, you are in my dream. That is my dream. That is not you. They realize she can dream walk. What pillow talk that is.
Wow.
But they don't really understand fully like how it works. They don't have a very long conversation. But we also learn in that thing that she did go into Marin's dream. And that's why she saw that whole thing. And then they're like, wake Marin up in the middle of the night. Like, what happened to your family? Do you have this picture? And they give her zero explanation why they are asking her if you have a drawing or whatever.
I know, right? I would have been panicked of, yes, why at 2 a.m. are you waking me up about this right now?
Why am I being summoned to your room? But so exciting. When I read that chapter, I texted you, let me know when you get to chapter 50, because you got second signets correct, which was so exciting. I loved seeing like theories that we had, but I don't know, this one just felt extra exciting to me. I don't know if you felt the same, because one, it was such a hot topic of like it was to Iron Flame who the new brother is to Onyx Storm. Like, what is going to be Violet's thing? People are combing. I need this one sentence that Rebecca says is in here. And on the prep episode, we were throwing a bunch of ideas out, and just naturally we started talking, and you can literally watch on the episode wheels turning for the two of us and us being like, wait, is she in his dream? And we're like, she's jumping into dreams. This could be it. And we literally thought it was outlandish. Like, I didn't even clip it for TikTok because I was like, oh, this is absolutely unhinged. Like, this is wild. I've seen no one talk about this. Like, people are going to roast us in the comments for being so out there. And it was fucking right.
So I love how you were there so much further ahead than me, because I think it was just that I had to take a break and I knew I'd get there the next day. Literally freaked out, and my notes are all over the place for that one moment, because it was just so cool to see it, of just the fact that it was the fact that we got a theory correct, and it's awesome when that happens, but the fact that this is something that we have not seen, because everyone was curious if she was going to get a second signet that someone else had, that she could enhance whatever. I just love how we're getting something new, brand new, that we have to learn about with her, and we're going to figure it out. So I'm thrilled for this to happen and get more of this.
And I think it was the Detroit one with Fantasy Fangirls. Rebecca was asked by them. Yeah, it was them. They asked, like, how much of it have we seen on page in Onyx Storm? And she was like, we literally have only touched on 10% of what this signet can do. So God only knows where this is going to go. But that was just perfection. Also,
oh my gosh,
there was a point where I'm reading it, and I think this is 60-something% into the book, and I'm like, when are we getting this question answered? Because she told us we were getting this, and honest, where, when, how? And this is not how I ever expected it to be introduced to the reader, like post-coital pillow talk. I did not think it was going to be that. I mean, it makes sense now that it was a dream walking, but like, even though we literally said it on that episode, you couldn't have paid me like to be like, yeah, that's what it is.
No. I mean, because they also were so separated for a huge point of just the fact that, he was the professor and she was the student and can't have that type of relationship. But there's a lot of things in their way, in the sense that they couldn't actually sleep next to each other. So we didn't get a lot of that time that she would have been right there. Now, granted, like you said, we only know 10%. So it seems like she was able to get to people who were within a range of her in a bit. You know what I mean? So that could be growing too.
We thought that on our prep, we were throwing around like, because we obviously were thinking of it on the spot. It wasn't something we had prepped in notes at all. And so we were going back and forth, like, has it only happened when they're like in the same room or she's near him? Has it happened with other people? But then when we get the piece with Marin, I think is really important, because now we learn she does not need to be near them at all, because Marin was at Cliffsbane, completely other area. And I don't know, they had met, obviously, but that I think is so interesting because we didn't even think that was we didn't think dream walking at all was possible. We didn't even know the word for it, but we were like, oh, it must be like she has to be next to them. The fact that she can do it from far away and the people don't even know she's in the dream.
It's gonna be so bad. Bad in a good way. It is going to be so crucial because is it Berwyn that can also, it kind of seems like he can do that in a way that he can.
I think he's the sage in the dream. Yeah.
So is she the balance to this? Because nature, balance, everything. I'm questioning, or is this just something new?
I'm assuming we didn't get like what his thing is, but I would assume that she is the answer to him, just like her mom was the answer to Theophany, which we find out at the end. But I feel like this is going to be so interesting. I'm so curious what is the other 90%? Well, people like sit there and they daydream. Is she able to like enter their little mindless thoughts they have?
Right.
The whole thing.
And
it felt a little precog-ish a little bit because
it did.
She's seeing Marin was like, oh, I have that dream because I was so nervous that was like her biggest fear was her parents, and then was her parents dying at all, and in the dream the parents are die by fire. Her parents literally actually died by fire like later,
right?
So it felt a little precog. Like, is she also maybe creating the dreams that they see as a way to like give them a vision?
Oh my god, hold on, let's pause on that for a second. Meg,
I don't know.
Unhinged, can you imagine if she can throw in little nuggets into people? Because the fact that Violet was able to basically see more and more of a nightmare, and that I think she had said, I can't wake up for some reason, like it's not mine. I mean, there were many points that it kind of was hinting at it, that it wasn't her actual dream, the fact that she couldn't wake up, but then she'd end up freaking out, and Xaden would kind of wake up too. But I just am so interested to see the fact that she might be able to change things, because if she can, and everyone's vulnerable when you're sleeping or when you're just thinking, that if she could plant little seeds into people's minds,
crazy.
Good luck.
And she learns, because Xaden's like, no, that was my dream. He then is able to recognize that she's in his dream, and he points out that like, no, like you influenced my dream.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, I think she gives him a weapon or something. He was like, I never have a weapon in this dream, and you gave me one or something. So yeah, she can do some damage, I think. Which I
still keep trying to figure out too if that dream that he has, is it the part of Iron Flame before he turns Venom, or is it something in the far future? Because because the way that he explained how Iron Flame went down at the end was very much I threw him over the cliff or something like that, and but I had channeled, so he was his sage, so he couldn't actually defeat him and whatnot. But I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but
well, the one in Iron Flame, isn't the point of the dream telling him to turn?
I thought so, yeah.
But it could be, it could work for its two separate ones, and that is like the one trying to get him to become Venom, or it could be hinting towards the end, it means turn ASIM.
Right, yeah.
Because he needed to channel a certain amount of power to initiate that.
And he was going to do it because basically they were going to take out Violet at that point too, and the fact that now with our knowing Aric's precog of strike in the dark and everything made even more sense, because it was the point that he knew that Xaden was going to do that. There's so much we're going to learn, obviously, because if we only know 10%, I mean, so much up for speculation.
Yeah, I don't know. The dream stuff, I just think it's going to be so interesting. And I would love if she's kind of like pulling at that. So Raven, and she can see the future, and then she can, like, she doesn't even subconsciously know that she's doing it. And then she's going into their dreams and like implementing this dream, and she visits them to keep giving them more information. And it's not like their own mind creating the dream. That could be cool.
I know a lot of people were trying to say that this could also be the way that she finds out more of what happened in that time span, that she had Imogen wipe her memories and she tries to learn more. Is it, could she somehow get into Xaden's mind still and find out things that maybe he wasn't even telling her that could also help her out? I don't know. There's so many options this could go.
Yeah, because now that he knows that she has this, and we then see that he was able to then recognize, you're in my dream, you're not supposed to be here. Because obviously people are in your dreams, but he knows that, like, this is not something I'm dreaming up. This is you in here doing this. You're here with me. I wonder if now that he knows that, he's able to kind of almost like fight back against it, but then they can leverage it to, like, I'm going to have this dream where we're meeting at this random place. Oh, you're here. Let's chat about what happened. And then if anyone was to look into her mind, she could just be like, it was just me having a dream.
Right.
That's not really it. And, like, I wonder, Dane can, like, read memories, I think. But dreams aren't memories. They're different. So really, if anything was communicated, this hypothetical, if anything was communicated through a dream, I don't think he'd be able to access it.
Yeah. I have no idea. I know there were a lot of people saying that Dane's going to be the way that she finds out more about Zayden and everything in that 12 hours and what happened. But, I mean, could be because obviously the memories,
yeah,
they
she
were
has
wiped
the
by
memories because
Imogen.
she was there. Yeah, unless he can, or
reverse it.
Can Bodhi come in and, like, touch her and reverse that? Because he can counter signets.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if it works though, or if it's just, like, in the moment.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know if it's, like, during fight he has to, like, be like, no, Uno reverse.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, like, 6 days later from the Uno game.
Yeah.
You can be like, oh, remember that? Uno reverse. I win.
Yeah, let me touch your brain. Figure this out. Yeah.
I think, Dane could also, because if the memories, they have to, I don't know how Imogen's thing works. Is it, like, completely erase them, or is it,
blocked?
Only because we just watched Inside Out 2. Is it, those memories get thrown to the back of the brain, and he can still get back there.
Right. They're kind of they're going to get shredded at some point. But if you bring them back, you're, oh, wow, remember the random thing that happened 10 years ago?
Yeah, remember this wedding that was yours?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel like the dream walking is going to be so cool. And I loved that little piece of her saying we only knew 10% of it. Because honestly, outside of that one conversation that they have, and then the Marin thing, they don't really talk about it again. Like, it was still very hush-hush. It wasn't a huge focus in the book. I think Rebecca felt like she had to tell us because it was so many people were theorizing. But it's not the focus of it, which I really thought book 3 would be heavily around her signet.
I thought so too. Yeah, I thought so too. But honestly, it wouldn't shock me if 4 becomes a huge part, because obviously with the fact that they're split up in terms of location, not relationship or anything, but it's going to be so interesting to see how that plays in, and then who's training her on this, because she can't tell anyone. Zayden literally says do not say anything
because it's a form of intrinsic.
Right, so you
maybe
can't
he has to train
anything.
her, but how's he going to train her if he's gone?
Through the streams. Here's that you were going to do our own signet sparring. Jedi training, signet sparring, like.
Yeah, that's a good point. Who is going to train her? Because this girl needs training. We've learned that she cannot be on her own wielding these things.
The only other thing I can think of is, and Darna knew that she was giving Violet more power, because the Irids basically said, how could you give this person a lot of power? Can they help out? I mean,
maybe.
Irids are an interesting group. We don't know a crap ton.
We get to the Darna of it all. I'm so fucking confused.
There's so much here that I have.
What is happening?
So much.
Oh my goodness. Continuing on with signet talk. We have Auric telling Violet that they have to protect the temple. And she really, this is where her leadership flaws show, because he's like, says it multiple times. We need to protect the temple. And she just brushes him off. And he's trying to, like, give her stuff, and she's just ignoring him. And I don't know. I just feel like in that moment, if someone in your team who clearly has proven themselves to be an asset, Auric does not strike me as someone who is looking to be center of attention. He is just like, give me some orders, I'll follow it. He's really trying to just fly under the radar. And so if he's taking the time to come up to you and alter the plan that you have put in place and say, like, we need to protect the temple. I don't know. I feel like I would have taken a pause with that. And she doesn't even acknowledge that he's spoken to her. Doesn't say, like, KK, Auric, whatever, and then, like, brush him off. Just nothing. Just ghost him.
Yeah. It was very much I don't care what you have to say. I'm just moving on. First years don't have any say in this type of thing. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of in that mindset of we're just going to let you talk, and we're going to not even acknowledge it and move forward. And I just think that did a lot of negative situation with him, because he's been the only one who truly has, one, could care less what his family was and basically went into this with a fake name and everything. Yeah. And the fact that she knew who he was immediately and kept his secret. You think that she might say, okay, you really are against everything else that we really don't like about your family. Maybe we should listen to you a little bit more.
Yeah. Or I'd be like, why are you this random temple? Why are you telling me I need to protect it? And
right.
Have you gotten the impression that he's this temple-minded person? I didn't at that point. I don't know. I feel like it would have given it a little pause. Also, I feel like I should set the scene. They have found out that the Venin are approaching Orisha. They're at Orisha. The Venin are approaching. This is why he's saying they've come up with a battle plan.
Yeah.
Thank God, though. And Darna is listening in, and she clocks it right away.
Yeah.
And because she is told to stay, obviously she's never allowed to come out and do anything fun. They're like, you gotta stay, go in your crate, go over here, you cannot come. And she, of course, does what she wants to do. This is why we love her. And she goes and she protects the temple. And then when she meets up with Violet's like, where you been? I've been at the temple. The prince told me to go to we had to protect the temple. This is just like, I don't know. I clocked. Is this signaling that maybe Andarna's power has a little bit of precog with it? Vision, that's so Raven. Like she's seeing.
It could.
Like, oh, temple. Yep. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna need the temple. We're gonna need the temple. I will get to the temple.
It was like,
but
you
Violet
just had
can't figure it out.
Temple.
But Violet can't figure it out because it did not come through in a dream. It came through in real life.
Right.
I don't know, but like,
I don't know.
Why? Or is this just? Again, is this just Andarna? Like, I want to be part of it. Oh, someone needs a task and no one's listening? I'll do it. Guys, I got it. I got it.
Hold my earrings. I've got this one.
But thank God she did, because that was so crucial to the ending.
I don't know. I'm going to go unhinged on the whole thing of maybe this is a part of it that she can see, because, again, it goes back to the fact that, that Irid said to her, that you gave her this power. She has to know some of it, because Taryn kind of knows in terms of how she's doing with the lightning strikes and everything like that, and can kind of help out. But those are pretty much in the moment things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this is something that's so much variety of. It's not just in the moment. It could be things that are being said that are going to happen down the line, or like we were thinking earlier of, you could be changing how someone's thinking and putting little nuggets of dreams in there too. But I just like how Andarna said, I don't care, I'm not sitting this one out, and I'm going to actually do something about it, because she really has shown that multiple times of, yes, Violet loves me and everything and supports me, but I'm going to do something and push back. And it's not just, teen years vibe. It's going to be, I'm actually doing something to make a difference here. So I love it.
Yeah, me too. And we should point out that at this point, no one knows that Arik even has a signet. They're still under the impression that he has not manifested yet. So they wouldn't, it's not like they're like, oh yeah, he's precog, but I'm still going to ignore it. Like, they don't know. I think moving forward, they will take into account everything he says. Yeah. But it was so interesting that she just ignored it. And I think that's just proving she is growing as a leader, but she still has some flaws that she needs to work on. Like, she was very set, like, this is the plan. We're not altering the plan. This is the plan. And she wasn't taking other people's advice or thoughts into it. We also know that Theophany was able to feel the wards go back up at Orisha before the riders could. So when they're kind of having their like confrontation with each other, it sounds like they're getting to the point where they're about to fight. And then Theophany looks up to the sky and freaks out, and they bolt. And so it was just interesting that the Venin were able to sense it quicker than the riders could.
No, if it's which we've seen that, and also read that the magic feels different when you're outside of the wards and everything. And I question what that does to the Venin of, do they get some type of sense that they get, that they feel it or whatever, that something's changing. Yeah, I don't know. But it is a good point of who knows why they can sense it ahead of time. Yeah. Because you'd think that the riders should have known that it was up, but I don't know if they aren't paying attention as much to it too.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That they must be able to sense something. I just thought it was interesting that they were so confused, like, why is she leaving? And then I think it was like a whole page we had to read through, and then they were like, oh, the wards seem to be kicking back in. Yeah. Leothan comes to save the day, and he powers the ward stone without telling anyone. He just shows up, and he was like, oh yeah, I'm the one who put the wards up. One, great memory he has, because they say it like once, like, we need you to come back and do the ward stone. I don't even think they give him a location of which ward stone. I mean, granted, there's only 2. I'm sure he knows that there's only 2, but he knew exactly where it was. And he just like pops into Orisha. No one sees him because he's camouflage basically and invisible.
Peekaboo.
And he just goes and breathes on it. And this is my question for you. Obviously, the 6 dragons had already breathed on it in Iron Flame. Mm-hmm. So is he able to just walk in and be like, yeah, I'm number 7. We're good? I thought it had to be like everyone doing it at the same time. Like, one, guys, on 3. 1, 2, 3. I didn't realize it was, you could, like, you go, then I'm going to go. I'm going to come in 2 weeks to do it. That threw me off, the logistics of the
so
work.
Sorry.
Because the other 6 are busy.
Right.
Like, we're busy. We're in a freaking war. And Darna, well, I guess she's out of the picture, but like, other people they're busy. They couldn't all have been meeting at the wars. And like, did he tell, guys, Leothan here, I'm en route. Be there in 5. Meet at the wardstone. Like, he's at the wardstone. Like, truck driver. Like, this is Irin number 2.
Got walkie-talkies.
I don't know. Did he do his whistle thing and get to?
Right.
I don't know. I thought it was a collective kumbaya, all 7 dragons. We have to breathe as one. Not,
I am so
you
sorry.
can show up a month later.
I didn't mean to be unhinged laughing over here that entire time because I took you seriously because I also agree with you. I thought they had to be together. I thought it was a hold hands, flame the word stone.
Yeah. Right? Okay. I thought it was like, guys, everyone on 3. 3.
Yeah.
2, 1. Taryn, you went off beat. Like, I thought it was that. I didn't think.
Right.
I didn't think you could show up 5 months later and the stone would be like, oh yeah, this was the one we've been waiting for.
Yeah, I didn't think so either because doesn't it forget the flames from said 6?
And did any of those people breathe on the, like, there were so many things logistically that could have gone wrong. What if one of the ones that breathed on the Orisha one went and breathed on the Basgayath one? Oh, their breath is used already.
Right. I don't know. I
don't know. That was weird because then he just like waltzed up in the woods like, don't worry guys, I saved you. Your wards are up. You're welcome. Like, where the fuck did you come from?
It's like
did you
an entrance song. Leothan's here. And just, swishy hair. Just, I'm here to do my job.
And I'm sorry, did he flew over the war, like the battle scene happening?
Right.
And he's like, I'm just going to ignore all of
Yeah,
this.
I'm here for one job.
I'm here for this. I got one mission.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? 21 Jump Street. Find the dealers, infiltrate the suppliers. He's like, find the wardstone, take Andarna.
Right.
That's it. Blinders on everything else.
He just sees the war. Oh, what great people down there. All right, we're just going to keep flying to the east.
He's like,
tunnel vision. He's got guards.
I come in peace.
Yeah.
I'm just here for the stone.
I look like the stars. Let you see
He's
through
like
me.
Oh my god, that athlete. I forget what sport he was, but he's like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Like, he's like, I'm just here to light the stone. I love him though. And obviously there was foreshadowing. Like, he really was the only one that was like on, kind of like believing her a little bit when she was giving her life story.
Yeah.
So it was nice that he came.
Yeah.
But I have so many questions
I do
logistically around his arrival. And what the fuck? He didn't think he could like lend a hand a little bit? Like,
you can just throw some flames this way. No, just
as I'm flying in, like, I'll just roast a couple, like, because I can.
Right.
Because they're the only dragon breed that can roast the venom. Like, you didn't think to kill a couple as you pass by them?
Right. Exactly.
Just here for the stone. Just here for the stone. I have one goal. Breathe on the stone. That's all I'm here to do.
Getting Andarna to leave was a bonus.
He's that corporate employee who's like, this is out of my scope.
Yeah, I see nothing going on. It's just me.
I actually wasn't hired for that task. I will not be doing it. He was like, I was not sent here to fight your war. I was sent here to grab her.
Right.
I have to do this for it. He killed me. How he just like popped out and he was like, I saved the day, guys.
Yeah.
And they're like, where the fuck did you come from?
Yeah. Oh,
like,
thank you. But where? What?
Yeah. And then he's like, okay. And yeah, so since I did this for you guys, she actually has to come with me. And they're like, you didn't give us a choice. Like, if we knew the price of you doing the wardstone, no, we would not have agreed to it.
Yep.
So he like puts them
Oh, yeah.
in a weird, he's like someone who's holding someone ransom.
Yeah.
Well, I did this already, so you have to hold up your end. They're like, I didn't know this was what the deal was.
I didn't know we were in negotiation.
And he's just like, so I'm taking her. You're coming with me. And
Yeah.
Darna, you're going to learn the ways of your people.
Yeah.
And you have to do it. And she's like, I can't. I'm bonded. I can't leave her. And he's like, you can break them. Break them, bend them, and change them or something, whatever he says.
You are magic. It was very much a you can do what you want because we don't, we are the magic in this sense, which that added a whole different element. The fact that they can just break bonds and no one dies. You just go into a huge depression and that's it.
And Violet was allowed to be part of the conversation up until a certain point, and then he was like, okay, your human can go now.
The little whistle.
And then
and that wasn't even a whistle, but
you know what I started thinking about? This whistle after last time we recorded? It reminds me of the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like the old school one, when the Oompa Loompas would come in. And you knew the Oompa Loompas were coming. When they come to do their cleanup? That's them.
Okay, humans can listen. Now you can.
It would have been better if one of them had to like pull a Tamlin, like play the fiddle. That's what it reminds me of, though. Like this fucking whistle. I can't wait to hear that be adapted for the TV show. That's gonna literally kill me.
It's gonna be something like a duck call. Do you know what I mean? It's gonna be some obnoxious thing.
Oh my goodness. Well, then he shuts Violet out. And next thing you know, she just feels like pain. And Darna, bye-bye. We're leaving. Violet. And Violet's like, when am I going to see? I don't know. I don't know when I'll be back. If I'll be back. Best of luck to you with this. Like, he literally he doesn't even let her finish out the battle. Like, hey, you can finish. And he's like, I've done enough for your human.
Yeah.
He just plucks her mid-battle. I'm telling you, it's that person who was like, oh, it's 5 o'clock, quitting time. Peace.
He put his, glow on and you just become invisible in the sky.
Bye.
Bye.
So they just literally leave. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
I have no clue.
That whole thing was just so interesting. And he also mentions that she has to be gone for a couple of years. And we all know.
It's like, yeah, it'll be a while.
3 years, it's like she's gone through her own, college, basically. The college of the Irids.
She's going to college.
Yeah.
We just got her. She was just a baby, but now she's going to party with the Irids. She's like,
right. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, though, like, that was the most heartbreaking thing. And never would I have pictured that was going to happen in any book. There was no possibility. Because everyone kept saying they thought Sigale was going to break her bond. I thought Taryn would have broke his bond before. I'm like, and Darna just wants to be here.
I know.
Why would she? I was shocked.
There had to be something that she was told. Because obviously the fact that you had said that Violet is shut out at that point and everything, there had to be a reason for her to go. Or I don't think that she would have gone for anything else.
That's a good point.
It had to be something that was going to save Violet or whatever. Because he's the only one who was willing to help her. And I know they're from the same den too. So I don't know if he just feels, I feel bad. My ancestors kind of just left you. Why would you want to
go with him? Because they were so mean to her.
I don't know. Again, whatever was said, I'm hoping we find out down the line. But I have no idea.
That would be so funny. I hope that the whole way there, when she flew with him, she's like, this whistle's fucking annoying.
Her sass needed to continue. You can use it on me so I don't hear you right now.
Taryn would never make this sound.
Never.
Oh my God. It just kills me. But it was really heartbreaking because I was like, are we never getting Darna again? Because no, that's not okay with me.
That pain I feel like it actually was my pain in that moment. It was because we
yeah.
had such a, wonderful moment with Xaden and Violet of this, I don't want to say a high, but you know how it kind of goes in ebbs and flows and everything, and that she was able to get her second signet and all of that. And then just down, here we go.
Yeah. And I guess this will kind of tie in. I was going to try and wait, but I feel like this will tie in. So, like the tagline, literally the opening words of Fourth Wing is, "A dragon without a rider is a tragedy. A rider without his dragon is dead." Mm-hmm. So you would think she broke the bond. She then goes into just complete depression, which totally understand. But she lives through it. Mm-hmm. And they say, which part of me is like, oh, maybe she's able to, because she still technically has a dragon. Just one of them, so maybe that is able to balance it out. I don't know. But then they point out, like, no one has ever experienced this before except for Jack Barlow, because his Bade is killed at the end of Iron Flame. Yeah. But Jack is still alive. How?
So at first I thought that had to do with the fact, specifically with Jack, is because he was Venom, that he could still channel, that he was okay to live regardless of his dragon dying. But this is so much more to what are the dragons not telling people? Because obviously everything we know is through the history books of the dragons and their bonding. I mean, what? This opens up for with so Liam, many.
There was nothing wrong with Liam, but because his dragon died, he died instantly.
Right.
So it's just interesting that that was kind of how they were living, and now we have two people who have kind of proven that wrong.
Right.
And I'll just say, like, quickly, there are people thinking that maybe Andarna didn't fully break the bond with her, and that's why she's able to come back, which I'd rather talk about when we get to that point, but just interesting.
Very. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is if she did truly break the bond, because she is very special, and that the Irids are unique, and we don't know anything about them, maybe there is something that they can do that allows the person to still exist, but that part of them is gone. I mean, I have no idea.
Maybe.
It'd be interesting.
It sounded absolutely awful, though, like the depression she was going through. I just couldn't. But then, like, while she's being depressed, of course, Mira and Brennan, like, they just can't keep their shit together.
Nope.
And that's when we find out that Mira has found out that Violet has been dedicated. Brennan's finding out for the first time. Yeah. But they think that it happened in Poromil. And then Violet lets them know, like, actually, it happened in Unbriel. And then Brennan's like, pissed. Why'd you go to our grandma? And we still need to find out more about the grandma.
Yeah. And this is also where Mira finds out that whatever path it was, they were afraid that Violet was going to turn for love or her heart, and her heart is Xaden. I mean, the entire thread.
That was the best. She was like, she's going to become a Venom. And then Xaden's like, no, that would be me.
Yeah. I'm the Venom. I'm her heart. So I guess that's what changed. Yeah.
I guess that memo.
Weird flex, man. But
yeah. Oh, that was so funny. He was like, that would be me.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with her.
Well, the real Slim Shady place to end up. Like, it was just...
And then Mira tries to pull a dagger on him.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Mira? Your sister would hate you.
Would hate her. That whole thing was interesting.
Yeah, and I just want more about the grandma. And I think their, like, sibling dynamic is really interesting.
Yeah.
We also have, like, a conversation that Violet overhears of Bodhi and Xaden talking, and Bodhi saying how he wants to basically drop out of school and be by Xaden's side fighting. And I flagged this quote because Bodhi is one of the people who I think could be the new brother. And he says, if it's that fucking important I finish, you wouldn't be pulling me out of class every day. And then Xaden says something back, and he goes, what, because I'm first in line? I'm not your backup plan. You are the Duke. I am the rider. That's how it was always meant to be until our parents got themselves executed. I will stand by your side and be your right fucking hand for the rest of our lives. But if you want a member of our family to hold that seat, you better hold your shit together. Yeah. And so I think that's just proving that, like, I'm going to be by your side. Venom, non-Venom, whatever we're doing, like, I will be there.
Yeah. And I think this is really important because obviously in that moment, it's more just that frustration of Bodhi, wanting to be there with Xaden and wanting to be that assistance to him because they've been together literally through everything. But as we find out towards the end of the brother, it's very interesting too, because Rebecca's also hinted at many different times that Bodhi would just do whatever Xaden did because he wants to follow suit, and not in the sense of, a big brother, little brother thing of I just want to do what my big brother is doing, but it is truly he wants to be there for everything and be with Xaden, and that was how they were supposed to be, is he's always supposed to be his second in command. essentially, which we have mentioned, I think, in the first part a decent amount, that to your quote that you just brought up with Bodhi saying, find out a different plan. Xaden has been finding a different plan this entire time with Violet. I mean, even down to saying that their relationship isn't boyfriend-girlfriend. There's something deeper. There's something stronger than that. What is stronger than that? Not for everyone, and I truly mean this, but marriage might not be the thing, and they might just be truly okay with being partners, and that's it. You don't have to have some title. Yeah. But for them, there is something there that is closer bond, regardless of their dragons, between the two of them. So it just brings it all together. I thought, oh no, he was making a plan. It maybe didn't include you right away, but Violet was going to be there.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And then Xaden also gets the little letter thing from the Priestess of June, basically saying that he's in her debt, or she's in his debt, I should say, and that she owes him whatever favor he'd like, foreshadowing for the wedding at the end, because that's definitely who he called in. Yeah. And so now we're moving into the ending of all the craziness. This is where we see the second instant of dream walking.
Yes.
Where they realize that she's able to actually be in the dreams and control the dreams that we were alluding to earlier. But it's just interesting that she was able to still dream walk with the bond from Andarna technically being broken. I think that's why people are leaning into this. Maybe it was not broken. It was just shaped a little differently.
Right.
Or maybe it was just surface level broken, but they have a deeper bond. So it just was an interesting thing. And I was so confused. Like, how are we able to do this?
I literally had a question of how is she still able to do her signet? Because I assumed that again, we're extreme assumptions here, is if you break a bond, whatever you had with that dragon would be gone because they're not a part of you anymore. But this is so interesting. And to your point, it could have been a completely different bond that they have instead of what it was originally. That still gives her that power, but doesn't allow her full access to Andarna at all times like she used to have. So,
yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Then this is where Theophany comes back again, and she has kidnapped Mira and was like, bring Violet, bring your brother, all this stuff. And I just thought it was interesting that when they are having kind of like a showdown with Theophany, she says to Violet and Xaden, I won't make the same mistakes with you Berwyn made with Jack. He spills his sage's secrets too easily. So like, what the fuck does Jack know?
He
and
has
why
to know
wasn't
something.
He like telling these people?
I don't know. And it's also interesting too, because how many other people did he tell? Because every time that we've seen the Venin attacking people, it has been what we assume is going after Violet, trying to get them to turn and all of that. But could they also be attacking because Jack could have been trying to form his own little clan from within, and that people know too many secrets? I mean,
he's clearly telling something to someone if they're like, he spills it too easily. Like,
right.
If he didn't tell it to them, he's definitely telling someone. So I don't know what is going on.
I don't know. And that's an also interesting part too, when Theophany says, bring your brother, and they assume Bodhi. Because he is basically, I guess, the closest thing he has to a brother, which got so many people questioning of, did the parents actually have two boys and that they kept it hidden? I literally go, I don't think this is I don't think this is the case, but we'll let you all dream. But it was interesting.
Jack in the cabinet.
the floating one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like, Theophany goes crazy, and she's like, just because I said we'd do this one thing, like we wouldn't hurt the province, it never said I would not kill your sister. And Mira, and I really thought this was going to be Mira's death, and I have to tell you, I was not upset by it. I know some people really ride for her. I'm very indifferent on her character. I find her more annoying than anything.
Yeah, she's one of the protectors of Violet that I am okay with. It's not really, I'm not leaning towards her in every single moment that I can. It's just, there's some stuff that she has that Violet needs to know, because obviously the two of them have not spoken at all about things. But yeah, there's just a lot there that I don't know. She kind of falls to the bottom of the list of people that I'm rooting for. And I don't mean that I hate her. It's just, she's not top.
Like, I don't know. I just, I don't feel like a super, like, I wouldn't be upset, because she has her moments, but someone else could fill it, I feel like. And then Brennan is there. They quickly try to mend her, and he's like, this is not it.
Yeah.
And Sloane just happens to be flying by with like something Auric from Auric, and they're like, Sloane, come. And she's terrified because of the last time she did it, their mom died. And
Yeah.
again, we have another moment from Dane, eyes here, like, don't worry, because Dane also flies in. And he's like, I'm not wielding today. You can take from me. It's totally fine. So he kind of walks her through like the siphoning process, which again was just like you can tell, like when you were like, there's angst between, like,
Yeah.
100%.
There is a lot of off-page things going on.
Yeah. And so she's siphoning from Dane to Brennan. She's worried, like, I'm going to be a venom. I'm going to kill people. He's like, no, you are like a channel for power. Like, essentially, you are life. Like, you're passing, which I thought was nice that he was trying to reframe it for her.
Right.
But she says to him, as she's siphoning, someone like you shouldn't have this much power. And I think we had said last time, like, this could be maybe indicating his signet is more powerful than we know about, maybe a second one. I have seen some discourse online that people think that they didn't take it that way, and they took it as this is her resenting that he's powerful, because essentially he is why her brother was killed, and it's
Fair.
more of like someone like you, like a disgust. I think it's more on like he's a powerful person and she was startled by it, but I could see how people could read it the other way.
I can totally see it that way, just taking it at face value of her hatred for him. And with this, whatever is going on off page with them is that battle of, I shouldn't like you, or you shouldn't have this power. You should be someone who's weak because you are the person, you're the reason why my brother isn't here anymore and everything. I can totally see that, but I do think that there is something else here, and who knows what magnitude it'll be. It could be as something that he does have a little bit of extra power, because this whole thing has been, my signet is classified. My signet is classified. You can't know. It's above your pay grade. And it's always been that, until obviously when we all find out what it is. But there could be levels to that as well. I mean, like we find out with the dream walking, it's only 10% that we know. How much do we know about Zayden's? We know that Varish was coaching him on learning.
Yeah.
What else can he create? I mean, and I know I'm gonna go back because I have to bring this up because I think about it all the time, is your theory about Daddy Aetos being a Venin and Dane being,
oh my god, that was literally gonna be my next thing. I have proof for it. I've brought proof this time.
Oh my god, I am going to give you the floor then, because I needed to bring this up, but if you have info, go. It's all yours.
So after the siphoning, there is a line where Violet notes the gray handprint on Dane's wrist, which he got at the end of Iron Flame when the venom drained from him. And there was one on Brennan's neck. Again, same scene at the end of Iron Flame. Are now both gone after this siphoning.
Yeah.
So was Sloane able to cure that? Then, a couple paragraphs later, Brennan is like, I'll take Mira, because she's like, kind of like, she's gonna make it. And he's really flustered and kind of like dizzy and out of it. And Violet questions it, and he says Sloane gave him more than he needed. So I feel like, again, this requires multiple theories to be true. Brennan was Venin from Naolan. Dane is Venin offspring, so he's this more evolved version. And when power went from Dane, who's Venin offspring, through Sloane into Brennan, Dane's power was like a cure to the Veninness. And it cured Brennan. And he's dizzy because he's like, oh my god, I'm no longer this. And like how magic and power is within him is now all thrown off balance, because he is now just connected to the dragon power and not the Venin, like constantly craving. Like he's having like withdrawals from the Venin power. That's what I think. Or Sloane was the key to this, but I just really want this like Dane is Venin offspring.
So
Colonel Aetos is a Venin.
That was so much to my head right now, but I'm going to try and digest this for a moment. If that is true, holy crap, and we are writing it down as something that you have thought about and put details into, because there is something specific about the fact they have no marks on them, and I don't understand why. It, again, intentional. We're going to find out. There has to be a reason. To your point, now, I don't know which theory could be true or anything, but a point that you bring up about the fact that Sloane, with her siphoning it, I don't want to say they kind of make sound of, it's all right, but it's one of those, if they have it where Dane or Brennan could be a potential cure. I think more Dean, because we're getting more of his arc there. Can you imagine what this could do? The fact that Violet was trying to find a cure and everyone keeps saying there's no cure, but it being an offspring potential is the cure.
And being Dane, who Xaden hates and has like caused them issues. Also, you just like be talking about like Sloane and Dane having this angst. There's like tension there, but like, are they going to cross the line? Like she kind of hates him, my brother, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Imagine he's the cure and she's the only way they can get the cure. So they have to freaking tag team everyone.
Close proximity trope. We've got this.
One hand on Dane, one on the other. Just
Don't talk to me.
And they're having to go out and cure everyone and like they're going to fall in love.
I love how we're creating our own trope for the two of them.
I think we could be writers because
I think we could.
It sounds pretty wonderful to me, that show. Yeah. So it's not concrete evidence, but I think it is working a little bit more than before when I said, oh, it's just a line, so I'm putting two people in it.
Yeah, I think this is huge piece. I have no idea what it could mean in terms of who is helping out what, but it would be interesting too. Now, flip side, I'm going to flip this for a second. What if Sloane was able to give some of the venonness into Brennan?
Ooh.
So now I'm taking this
That
as
could be
let's pretend that Dane has some venom vibes in him from his dad or, you know, from his mom that we don't really know about.
Ooh.
And was able to give some of that power to him and he has more. Oh. So I'm thinking a flip side, but I don't know.
And Brennan was never venom. See, this is why I took him out of being the brother because I was like, oh, he kind of got cured because he's all crazy. But maybe, yeah, he got the venom in him. And he's like, oh, shit, what is this power I'm like craving now?
Right. But also to make that true, he literally sees Violet within 12 hours and there's no red rims around his eyes. Or at least Violet doesn't hint at it in that conversation. It could have still been true. We might not have that detail. But I don't know. I figured the brother went with Xaden at the end. Is my assumption. So that's where I'm still iffy on Brennan being Venom, but you know, just throwing all options out there of potential.
Yeah, I just like I don't know. I'm really stuck on this whole conversation that goes on while the siphoning is happening, and also just like
I'm sorry if it wasn't important. Yeah, if it wasn't important, it wouldn't have happened. It would have just been
she would have just let Mira die.
Right, exactly. There was some crucial piece.
We tried.
Yeah,
we tried.
Yeah.
This is a little later, but there's a quote from Bodhi, which again, potential foreshadowing that he could be the brother. He's talking to Violet, and she's trying to get him to leave because he was with her for the theophany thing. And he says, "You don't know me well enough to try and fuck with my head. I'm doing exactly what I've always wanted, protecting my cousin, my province."
Yeah. And the fact that Violet is technically going to be that province, because if you think about it, she is going to be next to rule. So he has to protect her.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. All things are pointing Bodhi in my eyes, but
if we somehow get someone else, right? Like, I am just going on the theory that it's probably Bodhi. I know when we did the first part, we had a bunch of different people and we're kind of going through that. But if it truly ends up not being Bodhi, there is something I have overlooked and are not picking up on because there's something.
I mean, I reread it too, and I'm like, I didn't pick up on other people.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like it has to be him, but it feels so obvious, but I feel like it has to be him.
But maybe it's meant to be obvious. Right. Maybe it's meant to be obvious and figure out why. Why he went.
Everything has to be so difficult. It has to be a puzzle. So I don't know. This is also when we get confirmation Theophany's a storm wielder, find out that she's the answer, or Mama Sorrengail was the answer to that.
Yeah.
And Bodhi learns he cannot counter the venom signets. So,
which again, I think is a big thing.
Yeah.
You can't do anything.
How can I protect you guys if I can't do anything in the fight?
Right. Then his signet's kind of not there.
All things pointing to Bodhi.
Yeah.
We then get Rhee's POV.
Yes.
Personally, I didn't have any issue with it. I just also felt like I don't understand the point. I feel like there was probably someone else we could have, like, why do we waste a POV on her when it was just like kind of showing her leadership, how she talks to her dragon, and it was just showcasing like the other side of what was going on in the battle. But I don't know, I kept waiting for something bad to happen.
I am with you 100%. I really didn't know why we were not seeing Violet or Xaden's name if if there was no other reason but to see some type of tragedy happen. Because why else would they be there? As bad as it sounds. I have no idea.
Just helping those people like get over the past, which was fine. It sounded crazy where she was, but I was just waiting for something big to happen.
The only big thing that happened was we see that Riddick basically froze the wyvern. So our boy.
I mean, killing it.
I wish I had the playlist on right now in the background just to, get the
he
hype.
Was like singing. He had like a victory chant or something.
Oh yeah,
he was doing. Like,
yeah.
Oh my god, did you all see that?
Yeah.
Like, he was giving main character energy.
Shots. Yeah. He was just starting to scream shots. Like, let's party already. Let's go.
Oh my god, I love him.
I love him.
After we go back to Violet, and then we get Imogen, which I love that she has become like a big character.
Yes.
I have to tell you, rip Quinn, first of all.
Yep.
I really did not feel connected to Quinn whatsoever.
She was there.
She's such a background character for me. She had her moments when she would like astral project for people.
Yeah.
Tell me why. Sobbing reading the chapter.
So,
it was a good one, right?
Oh my god. The friendship of just, we're going to be best friends. We're going to make it, if it's we'll make it a good one for the time that we have. And just, oh my God. I think the problem is
heartbreaking.
It was so bad. I cried the entire time. I actually had to take a break before I continued because I could not get over their friendship.
It's crazy though. Like you would think we all would have been sobbing over Mira dying.
Right. Yeah.
No emotion. Quinn, someone I don't think twice about.
I know.
Crying like a baby. It's because it was their conversation, and Imogen just being like, my mom and sister, they know all about you. Like, they'll help you. Oh, I couldn't.
And then she goes back and gives us the flashback of how they met before the parapet and are going through. Oh my God. I'm going to get so corny here, but I literally was like, this is Mick for me. If this happened, I'd be freaking dead. I was like, this is so bad.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I was so emotional.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. This is like her best friend in the
Your
world.
best friend.
And she's like going to have to go back and like tell Quinn's girlfriend like what happened.
And she had already picked out the wedding dress that she had. And just.
Yeah.
It's
really sad.
It was so sad. I did not expect that emotion from me from that point of view.
But also after reading the one, I just thought it was going to be nothing. And then it was just like, oh, let me rip your heart out. And I also was like expecting some big death. So Quinn, I was like, oh, this is random. But
I know.
It had so much packed a punch.
It hurt. It hurt. Because, the idea that everyone had was it was going to be someone super close to Violet that died in every single book. And the fact that it was someone who was around, like you said, was kind of just a extra character, not really mentioned, wasn't in the core group or anything, to have that impact is just wild. Absolutely wild.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
But then at the end, we see Imogen talking to Garrick.
Yeah.
And this line gave me pause for maybe an argument for maybe Garrick being the new brothers. He says to Imogen, I can't walk again. Even if I made it to Arisha, I'd never be strong enough to get back. So I'd better find some fucking way to do something. Again, could take that two ways. Find another way to be useful in the battle because my signet is tapped out.
Yep.
Or I better find some way to amplify my signet so I can make it work.
Yeah.
So I think that could go either way. I'm torn on how I feel.
So I am still leaning more towards he went and found a different way to help. And the reason why is I actually reread that chapter a few times to understand. And the whole time that Imogen is with Quinn and talking to her and everything to the end, she notices that all the stair are draining of color because the venom are totally just sucking up all of the energy and life from that area. And Garrick basically gets them out of there. So my guess is, and there was a clue that said, as we were walking away or whatever he does in terms of moving people from one place to the other, that the ground beneath them drained from the color. I don't think it was Garrick necessarily draining it. I think it was they literally were 2-3 seconds away from dying. Yeah, it was pretty much if you don't get out of here, and the next moment you're all gone. So I don't know. I feel like he is the reason why, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but that the dragon eggs are missing. I really think he's
100%.
pivotal. If we go with Bodhi as the one who turned, and we go with Garrick is missing for other reasons, I think he has a mission. And the fact that, you know what, no, I'm not going to get too far into it because I want to talk about it when we get to the end with the wiping memories and stuff. But I just feel like he's got to be doing something there.
Yeah, I think so. And like, who knows like how long it takes for his signet to like recharge where he can start using it again. So yeah, I don't know. Then Violet is fighting Theophany. They're big, and poof, Andarna just shows up. Now it is like 10 days is the span from when Andarna leaves, apparently breaks the bond, to when she's now back, after Leothan told us that it was going to be years.
Yep.
Now, one, very happy she's back. But as a reader, I was a little annoyed. I was like, you put me through all of that. Like, I'm sitting here like, am I ever going to see Andarna again? I thought we weren't going to get her till like book 5 now. And then 8 chapters later, she's back.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, thanks for toying with me like that.
Yeah.
And also, how the fuck is she back? Because how is she able to perfectly pinpoint Violet if they didn't have that bond? Because Violet tried to talk and it was gone. How did she make it back in time? Because we don't know where their den is, but if it was on the Isles, that was at least what, like an 8-day trip it took them to get to the first one?
It was a while.
So right there would have been like over 2 weeks to get there and back. If she just touched down and turned right around. So did she turn around mid-flight? Like, I'm so confused.
Yep.
Some people think that Andarna can time travel, and she has been gone for 3 years, and now she's come, like, she time traveled back to help them. I don't know how I feel about that. Some people think she, like I said earlier, didn't actually fully break the bond, so she could sense Violet was in need and was like, actually, I'm going to go be with my human who, like, supported me from the beginning and go back. I don't know. I kind of lean more towards that, but I'm like so confused how she's back, and I don't like that my emotions were toyed with.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I also really don't understand. Obviously, the book ends pretty close after this, but I don't understand the purpose of her coming back if it doesn't mean something big. Because I'm sorry, if you just come back to be, oh, I missed you, and, you know, he really wants me gone and everything, that's going to hurt more of doing that back and forth. It's kind of like if you kept breaking up with your significant other.
Yeah, she could have to break it every time. Violet's going to be depressed for 5 days, whatever it is.
You couldn't do that. That would be terrible. Yeah. And then on top of it, with everything else that we know, that she doesn't have the memories from those 12 hours, what else is there that's going to add to her? You know, she keeps putting those emotions down in a box that she's not going to touch at that moment, you know, the pain, and put it away. But I don't know. I had actually thought about the time travel thing of, are the Irids some type of ability that they can time travel, similar to the theory earlier that we're talking about with the dream walking? Is she able to kind of predict certain things and change things? Can Andarna do the same? And did she not fully break the bond? I'm kind of putting those two together. I don't really know.
Yeah, I have no clue.
There's just so much that could happen.
Confident enough either way to argue one over the other. Like,
agreed.
I could see a world where either of those options are right.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait, because you know Violet will be asking, like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
In book 4, because they don't have time to talk about it, because this all happens very quickly. Like,
yeah,
this is like when the shadows are going crazy from Xaden, and then we really learn that Xaden can basically be summoned by Berwyn. He was mid-fighting, and I kind of pictured like it was like a tug.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you must, like a dog on a leash almost, like, you must come here.
Yeah.
And he has a quote where he's talking about it. He says, but the one who walks forward toward Panchek's cowering, traitorous ass, putting himself between Sigale and me, because Sigale has been, like, captured in a net. And this is how we find out Panchek has been, like, throwing them all under the bus. He said, he's a problem, not because he's more lethal, not even because he's supposed to be dead, but because I can't kill him. I could no more raise a blade to his throat than I could Violet. So now we know he can't kill his sage.
Yeah.
So he probably can't kill the Maven in his family line too. Can he kill his brothers? Like, maybe that's why Jack Barlow is still alive.
Right.
So that might be like something going on in the dynamics over there. And then he goes on to say, the bond between Violence and me is the kind of magic that has no explanation. The bond between Berwyn and me is the kind that should never exist. And now that my sage has another sibling he can use against me, I'm screwed. Now, the part that I wanted to talk about was when he talks about the bond between him and Violet, saying it's the kind of magic that has no explanation. I immediately jumped to other fantasy worlds like ACOTAR, Zodiac. Is this them having some type of mate bond?
Yeah. I thought the same thing, because
know.
something that no one has ever seen, it hasn't been done. They've never understood it or anything, because if you think about it, it's primarily just been the dragons have a mate, but I don't think that's anything in the sense of that they knew. It was just they picked each other. But it would bring such a different element if the two most powerful riders were a mated pair as well. Because can you imagine even more? I mean, the whole theme too has been the damage that those two can do and the power that they have at the tips of their fingers. If you add something like that together, whole new ballpark here.
And it would explain how they can mind talk, because it makes sense that he can put his, or like he can read her thoughts, but it never made sense to me of how he can talk into her head.
Yeah, exactly. Because
So
I don't think that the four, because I don't know, can Taryn talk to Xaden? I don't know if he.
Yeah. They can, because Sigale can talk to Violet.
Yeah, but
okay, so it's through the dragon bond. Okay, yeah.
But that still seems so weird. Yeah, exactly. There could be so much more to it.
And I just feel like she's pulled so many elements from like other fantasy like tropes that this would make sense, because it is a big fantasy trope in other like multiple other series. So I just thought that was interesting the way he described it. It wasn't like is the kind of love that the kind of magic. That has no explanation.
Yeah. And this is, again,
so I don't know.
I think a little key, too, of what Arik knows. Because we don't know how far his precog goes. Because we knew that they had if you do this and save the temple, you're going to have some type of, you're going to have a favor and all of this stuff. And how far?
And he like knew that she would get the rock to kill Theophany.
Right. So how far can he see? And did he give some more information to Xaden that also would help out too? I mean,
I'm always on the side of that. I'm Team Arik.
I mean, I am too. He's probably one of my favorites that just snuck in.
I love him. And I can't believe his real name is Cam. I will never think of him as a Cam.
No, doesn't make sense. It doesn't work for him.
Yeah. But this is also where we first find out that there's this other brother.
Yeah.
Well, here they say sibling, but then later he calls him a brother. So, but when Xaden's like doing the shadows, he specifically points out that he can see the shadows going past Dane and Dane's dragon. I can't remember his name, and how they're backed into a corner. So it completely takes Dane out of the possibility of being this new brother, because he is off somewhere else. Also, I know we had talked about the dragon that's killed, and we were like, well, it's a green dragon. Panchek and Bodhi both have a green dragon. But I don't know. After rereading it, I think it is confirmed that that's Panchek's dragon, because it's like as they're having a conversation, he's like, I've given you everything you want. And then he stabs it. And I think it was to prove a point to Panchek.
I also think, too, it's kind of one of those, you thought you were going to live through this. Nice try. I'm going to kill off your dragon, and basically you're going to go with it. Because we don't hear or see that Panchek dies necessarily, but at the same point, like, it definitely happens. Because the only other way that could happen is if if it's the new brother, for example, their dragon just goes away, but they would have to still live.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I mean...
Yeah, good point. I guess I didn't realize, if his dragon dies, he would have died too.
Yeah, but they didn't, but I mean, they don't go into it,
he doesn't seem as strong-willed as the other ones. So.
No,
whatever.
I don't
I'm glad
think
he's
so.
gone. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Over you.
Yeah.
Xaden also points out that he kind of has to be nice to Berwin, I guess, maybe, like kind of go with him, because he says, Berwin has something I need.
Yeah.
And then he goes, and I'm no longer an initiate. So now he has moved to ASIM level. But like, what the fuck does Berwin have that Xaden needs?
So I think this is where Jack's going to come into play more. And not that I ever wanted to say that sentence. It's kind of how...
He's definitely going to be a big part of 4.
The fact...
I actually thought it was going to be a big part of 3, so...
So too, but they kind of just left him there. But the fact that Xaden needs something from Berwin, and that Jack has been trying to go spill secrets, Theophany was going to kill him. I think Xaden's going to use some of his little mind tricks and try to see what he can do to get some information out of this one. And the fact that his dragon is still alive too means I'm assuming he keeps his signet, because I don't really know if other people, because Jack's the only one whose dragon has truly died.
Yeah.
Does he have a signet?
We have no clue but we never knew what his was to begin with.
So I don't know if he even has one. Did he ever?
He must. It just, because we know that they have them. So I'm assuming all Venin are former riders.
I'm guessing. Of people who wanted more power of some sort.
And they're riders become like whatever they had before just becomes heightened. Actually, there's a line. Epigraph for chapter 59. It says, "It was not without risk that the first dragons bonded humans, for though they clearly hold the power, their bonded riders made them the one thing they could not tolerate, vulnerable. Many dragons suffered the loss of their bonded riders in the name of self-preservation." So I'm thinking that was the rider wanted to be self-preserving of like, I need something, or I'm on the brink of death, I gotta save myself, or
something.
and then the dragons paid the price because they had to deal with the loss of the bond being broken.
Yeah. And there was a lot of speculation that I kept seeing of, are one of the potential first 6 some of the Maven Venons that we haven't met yet.
Because they're kind of like immortal almost.
Right. Because I mean, Theophany kind of mentioned mortal life. I don't really understand that. I don't know if because she was dedicated to Dune, does she have some extra thing? I don't really know because of the gods. There's a lot.
She has some extra stuff going on.
She got something else. I have no idea. But
yeah, that'd be scary if they are actually, like all of them are immortal.
I mean, that's no wonder why they kind of were hidden for a bit and then came back with this power surge. I mean,
yeah,
it's I
don't know.
It's crazy.
Then we wake up, then we end up in Violet's POV.
Yeah,
and she's like waking up. She thinks this fight just happened 5 minutes ago. Turns out she's been missing for 12 hours.
Yeah,
and Brennan is there when she wakes up, and she hears someone that she didn't recognize comes out to give like a report. And they're kind of nervous to say it in front of Violet. And he was like, she's the easiest way to kill him. And Brennan shuts it down. Like, no.
Yeah.
And we find out 4 riders, their dragons, and 3 elders have all been killed. There was 5 riders missing, now 4 because they have found Violet. And there are 6 dragon eggs missing. So that's kind of like the state of the union there. And they're all assuming that Xaden did it because they all saw the shadows come through and it was crazy. And she asks specifically what the status of Garrick is. And they say he is missing. He is one of the missing people. So Garrick is really the only one outside of Xaden that is confirmed to be missing at the end.
Right. Because if you think about it too, we do not hear about, like I was saying earlier, we don't hear about anyone else unless they are literally in Violet's POV at the end. So Rhee, Sawyer, Riddick, all of them have no idea where they are. So they could have been the missing ones. They could have been helping Garrick on his mission. Garrick could have been the new brother, and maybe we were, pointed to think it's Bodhi this whole time, and maybe it's not. You know what I mean? There's so much there, but all of it's important. It's going to be interesting. I think the one part, too, that I took out of this was, the 2 pieces that were actually more shocking to me was the elders are dead and 6 dragon eggs were missing. So a lot of people
2 from each.
Right.
Of those types of elders.
I don't know. And why are the elders dead? Because were they protecting the dragons, the dragon eggs? Or I think I had even thrown out this, I don't even know if I text you it, but I was questioning, did Arik use his precog to say, to show to them that this needed to get done for X, Y, and Z or something, and the elders just went with it? I don't really know.
And like how were they killed? Obviously, we know those alloy hilted daggers that the Venom had taken when they took down Seneva, whatever it was. There was 6 crates there instead of the standard 2.
Yep.
The Venom stole all those. So and they do have the daggers that can kill the dragons.
Right.
So did a Venom go over and kill them? Did another dragon kill them? Did a rider kill them?
No idea.
Was it the shadows that took them out? No clue.
Yeah.
And then we also, it's not confirmed, but heavily implied that Imogen has wiped Violet's memory. Up the previous 12 hours, and her and Xaden are married, which, like, yay, we're all happy about that, but we hate the circumstances. And he basically leaves her a note saying, like, do not come find me, it is yours. So now she's a duchess.
She's just chilling. She has this whole province.
And book over, like, literally the last line is Imogen saying, like, what you asked me to do.
Exactly. There's nothing else there.
We turn the page. Acknowledgements. That was crazy.
I know, that was because, like we said, it was so obvious after you read the whole thing that they were planning that the 2 of them were going to get married. But as to the timeline, I did not expect it to be this last minute thing. Now we also find out too that Taryn is in the dreamless sleep or whatever, the deep sleep.
They were like, he needs a cycle of rest.
And I question if Sigale broke the mating bond between the two of them because Xaden had asked her, we have to persuade him. Can we do this? You saw what happened, which is why I thought that Arik was helping him out in the sense of giving him information.
I think it's a good theory because, like, why else would he be resting? I mean, he came and he took Mira, or he carried Teen, but other than that, it wasn't anything outside of what he's done in other battles. So,
right,
who knows? That, I guess we could add that to questions I have or theories for the next book. Honestly, the only questions I had about the ending, like, I understood what was happening. I know a lot of people were confused by the imaging of it all.
Yeah,
I totally got all that. The biggest questions I have is, how is Andarna back? How did she know where to find Violet? All those things I already mentioned. And the brother, like, these are the things that will keep me up until book 4.
Yeah. And I think the other ones for me was just, what path do we still see for Violet? Because there's been so much mention of that, and I just don't know what we're going, because her whole thing has been trying to save Xaden this past book, but where do we go from here? And does she turn? Is there, does she stay true and never? I have no idea.
That's a good question. She's going to have to visit the temple again.
Right.
Get an updated reading.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any other questions?
I had the thing about with the more power that Dane had too. I mean, I know we went over it, but that was kind of the other one too, was just what's going on there.
Something.
Yeah.
100% something.
Something.
What do you have? I know we've been sprinkling in theories as we've been going through the book, but other theories for the next book / rest of the series? There's 2 more books to come in total.
I know. I feel like we've done a lot of the theories that we had, so I don't have too many extra, but I am curious, is there a way, because I know we said that Andarna was able to basically burn that venom, but they claimed, it was because it was your first fire that it's stronger or something like that. But I don't know. I think it's more because she's an Irid and that there's something that they can do. So I'm trying to figure out if Andarna being back, is she back to help wipe out people in a sense? Like, did she get enough training in those 2 weeks or whatever, or 3 years based on people might think? So that's where I'm trying to figure out, I guess, not really a theory, more just there has to be a reason that we got that she was able to burn the venom, and that the only other thing we know of are these daggers, but that can't be the only thing that kills them off.
No, there must be something else.
So I really think the Irids are still going to be an important thing, because we only got them for a little bit, and then it was just we found them, they don't want to help. Leothan comes back and helps for a couple seconds, and then they leave, and that's it. Like, there weren't a lot of interactions.
I think they'll be more important as well. If not all of them, maybe some of them will come over to the cause. They have to. There was so much build up. The entire Quest Squad was literally about that. So I definitely feel like that.
What about you? Did you have any extra theories we hadn't talked about?
Most of them are things that we talked about. I agreed with you about the dragon eggs. I definitely think those went to the Isles to barter some type of deal for more armies. Not really a theory, just something I think will happen is Sloane will get a second signet. What it will be, I don't have any thoughts on that, but I definitely think that will happen. And what I brought up the last episode is I think the letters that we were getting little excerpts from are actually ones that Violet's going to find in book 4, and it was Xaden telling her about the plan. But I saw a really interesting theory. I cannot take credit for this at all, and I wish I had written down the handle for it. I saw it on TikTok, and Rebecca, again at that same show with Fantasy Fangirls, Lexi had asked, when I think it was Bodhi or Xaden, one of them said, she was asking, how many of you guys have the second signet that they don't know? He said, not enough to mess with Kaori's records or something like that, talking about the records. And basically, I think Lexi was asking, how are they able to go about that? And Rebecca answered, well, how do you know that the dragons are giving the right information? Because at threshing, they bond with the dragon communicates the name to the rider is the one who then tells it to Kaori for record keeping. And so she was like, how do you know that they're giving the correct name? Now, we only ever see inside of Violet's bond with Taryn and Andarna, we see her talk to Sigale sometimes, but we don't know, maybe someone else's dragon was give them this name, but this is actually my name. like this is the name you need to give them. And
Yeah.
you know, because you form that like one-to-one bond with your dragon, and that's like the most precious thing. You keep each other's secrets, so it could be that. But this theory I saw was super, like, so obviously there's something sus going on with the names if she had to like say that on stage. But then I saw a theory which literally shook me, and I would love this. So you know when she bonds with Taryn and he gives her his full name, and he goes descendant of, and he like lists a bunch of other people, like this is my lineage, and he's done it a few times where he's like mentioned his lineage. This person said in their theory, what if his name that he's going by right now is Taryn, but all those like we don't know how long they live for, like he's old, and we know Atrum is younger, he's like in his 20s, but like we don't know the lifespan of a dragon. And what if those other names that he's saying like descendant of are names that he has gone by with previous riders? So the record would look like it was multiple different dragons, but it's the same dragon.
Right. Because if you think about it, there are not that many dragons that, one, want to bond at threshing, and two, they talk about the elders, but it doesn't sound like there is a crap ton of elders just chilling out there at all. Protecting the, you know, the eggs and the young dragons and everything. So could be interesting, because if you think about it, I mean, if they've lived for a super long time, why would there be so many descendants unless there's so many riders who are dying, or their dragons are dying? You know what I mean? I feel like there'd have to be a crazy amount of deaths in the dragon world.
I just thought it was like an interesting thing. Now I don't know, because like, you know, they just think like, oh, because you're a descendant of this dragon's previous rider, you get the second signet, but like it's the same dragon, they just pick someone within the family. I don't know, the whole thing I just thought was so interesting, because Kaori would think it's like all these different, but like it's been this one dragon this whole time. Granted, we know Taryn was bonded with Neil and they did not have the same signet as Violet, but I just thought that could be like an interesting take.
That could, especially like you said, he's mentioned it a few times, and it's kind of just here Taryn goes on a rant or whatever about his lineage, but it could be his way of telling Violet, no, these are all of my other names. Keep an eye out for this. Because
these are like all the signets I've been able to grant. These are all the other riders I've partnered with. Like, I don't know. I just think, it's just like, it's unique. I don't think it's like fully fleshed out, but I just think it is something that could be cool. And we do know that she said, so obviously the names are important. So Kaori must be keeping track of like, here's like, throw it up in the Google, Sigale. Been partnered with these 4 riders, and these are each of the signets she's given. So he's definitely keeping track, and they don't want him to keep track of everything. Because maybe Sigale is a dragon that always will give 2 signets.
Could be.
Or Taryn is a dragon that will always give 2 signets, and I don't know.
That brings up another thing that a lot of people have been talking about is, will Violet get a third? Because if dragons are specifically picking people, and maybe not every single one of the marked ones have 2, but to add to it, it could be a variety of people they see as more powerful, that they could say, okay, we want to give you multiple. Because it also was never supposed to happen that she was supposed to bond with Indarna, but because Indarna was second, it was one of those, it was allowed because she's an Irid and everything. But if you think about it, Taryn could have already been trying to figure out, how do we give this girl more power, because she's going to be needed for this war. So I know there's like a whole thing out there about her having 3.
3 would be wild, because I feel like she already has such powerful ones, especially like the fact that she literally is power. She just wields it as a lightning strike. She could probably learn to turn that into other things. So
I mean,
I just feel like 3 would be absolutely crazy, but I could see it being possible.
I mean, I also think it could be interesting too if hers just evolved more into the storm aspect, because Theophany is now gone, and that her mom's also gone. Instead of someone new getting the storm, does hers just evolve in that way and become more of the storm side? I don't know.
So curious.
There's a lot that could happen.
That was the only other like
interesting.
More like unhinged like theory that we didn't get to. I feel like everything else was rooted in things that happened in the actual book that I had proof and quotes for.
Proof and quotes for. I'm with you on that one.
Oh wait, I did see someone, it wasn't on, I know Meg did a video on our TikTok page asking people to share their theories that they had, and we would like shout them out. So we will get to that. But there was one person who did comment on a different video. So I did want to call this out because I just thought it was an interesting reframe. They said, I think it was on TikTok or Instagram, I don't know. And they said, what if the Venom are the good guys? And the riders are the bad guys. Could you imagine? I don't think that's the case, but like,
I don't think so.
Imagine that plot twist.
That would be worse than finding out that Xaden was Venom at the end of Iron Flame.
It would be wild.
Yeah.
I don't think it's true, but
I don't think so either.
It was a crazy reframe, and I was like, that would be a wild plot twist. So it's
I mean, I guess I wouldn't go as far as saying that I think the Venom are the good people, but I think it goes with the theory of that not all of the riders are correct and that they're not on the right side.
We all know.
But I mean, that's kind of known. So I feel like that's just stretching it a bit.
Yeah. Just like I think we could argue that not all of the Venom are bad.
Right.
You know, I would say a majority of them probably turned for more selfish reasons. But there might be a handful that, you know, like a Naolin. Mm-hmm. I had to save my lover. I needed more power. It was a selfless decision. Now, who knows? The power could corrupt him. Mm-hmm. Same with Xaden. Like, you know, we're not calling him a bad guy because he's a Venom.
Right.
He could turn into a bad guy, but...
Yeah. I mean, even that cadet who basically was turning in signet sparing and I don't even think was trying. I think it was just I'm trying to defend myself in a turn. It could even be stuff like that where people were just trying to protect themselves and ended up channeling more. I don't know if it's yes, I'm turning, I'm going to start channeling, or is it just a subconscious thing that happens that you're looking for something to help out with whatever the situation is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just thought it was an interesting take.
Interesting.
But that is all I had for theories.
All right. I know you mentioned the ones that we had on the post for TikTok about it. So I wanted to go over them and kind of hear your thoughts. And did you pick up on this? And if not, but we had it from Low9802 that thinks Riddick might be dead as Imogen saw a mortally injured brown dragon in the valley. And I checked, and there is a fatally injured brown dragon with a severed tail. But we don't know anything else. So then I started looking at all of the people that have brown dragons. And Garrick and Riddick have brown dragons. But there's also a few other people, but I don't even know if they were part of the battle. So forgive me in terms of that. But what are your thoughts on that?
Low9802, was that the handle?
Yeah.
I hope your pillow is warm on both sides every fucking night. How dare you speak so poorly on Riddick when he literally carried this book on his back. He brought the tunes. He brought the vibes. He was there through Quest Squad. How dare you just think that he's going to be written off so abruptly? But you know what? So that was my initial thing, was just like, no. But now that you said you did the research, and Garrick and Riddick both have brown dragons. Now we know Garrick is missing at the end, so
I know
it could be Garrick. But I really do think that Garrick is on the Isle. So if Riddick is my only other choice of who has a brown dragon, I refuse to accept this. And you know what? I think that Riddick. I'm checking my list. Lilith. Rip. Oh no. Suri. She's alive. It could be Suri's clubtail.
Right. That's where I said I have no idea if there's others involved.
Oh, yeah. I'm going.
Now we have
Septon Izar.
I was going to say, I don't remember who that was.
Don't remember him, but he also has one. So I'm going to say it's Suri.
Yeah.
Rip with your silver hair. Rip Suri. You won't be able to give Violet her updates on being dedicated. I just really don't think that Rebecca would do my boy Riddick like this so dirty after he really just was the hero of the story. He really he carried us all through. I would hate every second of this. And if it is Riddick's dragon, I do think that Riddick is strong enough. He has a strong sense of self. He will push through and he will have to find a new one. I don't know. Age he was so young. He was only 21. I really don't think it was his time.
I know.
I'm going Suri because she wasn't really in the book, so I feel like no one would miss her.
Yeah, and I was trying to figure out was it just a mention to get us starting to think about what person it could be, and start panicking of, oh my God, because I know Rebecca also said that someone that we really love is going to die in book 4. We were totally okay with it being
but wouldn't he have technically died in book 3?
Right.
We just got the confirmation in 4, so I think it's a fresh death in 4. I think it's Ree. Like, I'm pissed.
I also think it's going to be an on-page death. I don't think it's going to be a behind-the-scenes death because...
Unless they're like, we found him.
He's dead.
I hate this.
But...
I mean, it's not Lo's fault.
No.
I hope I can call you Lo. I hope that's fine. I don't think it's Lo's fault. But Lo...
We hope you're wrong.
You brought this to my attention because I did not even catch that line.
Really hope that this is wrong. And that, we somehow make it out and Riddick is alive. He lives through all 5 or at least dies at the end heroically, saving someone. That's how I hope he goes. If he has to go.
Like, here I am planning for like a Riddick novella. We're getting Riddick and Atrium, how they threshing, how they got to the pranks. You want me to just think he's dead on a battlefield and Atrium's tail got severed? I can't. Like, I'm sorry. I volunteer you as tribute. It cannot be Riddick.
But
because also, Violet would not be able to overcome that because she loves Riddick.
I agree. And my other thing is, too, is I want to note is in the quote, not the quote, but in the paragraph, Imogen said it was a large brown dragon. Now, I want to mention specifically, Atrium is little. So does that help it in the sense of who has a large brown dragon? I don't know. I don't know how big Garrick's dragon is, but I hope it's Surrey, just for the fact of, again, I really don't think any crucial person is going to die off page. And granted, like you said, it could be something we find out in book 4 that happened, but I really don't see that. I don't see Rebecca saying, oh, so-and-so died off page. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm seeing it in the moment. Like, Quinn's died on page, and we thought it wasn't going to be a big thing, and then we bawled our eyes out.
And the fact that Violet hears Brennan talking to this guy saying 4 riders are dragons. Like, he knows they're friends. He would have been like, hey.
Right.
Just before we jump into anything, like, Riddick. Like, when she asked about Garrick, he could be like, Garrick's missing. It could be his dragon. Oh, Riddick's missing too. Like, I don't know. I feel like she would have gotten a heads up. Yeah. And they also had other people come in to help. So I'm thinking it's one of the other writers.
There was a lot more people there that we obviously don't get their point of view because it's not important at that moment. No offense to them, but we're really focusing on that core group that we pay attention to. So
yeah, no offense to them, but like, I'm taking your death over Riddick's death. I'm sorry. Like, I'm putting you up. I will take Ree's death over Riddick's death. Like,
we are shipping Ree dying next book.
When she like is the only one left at the end, I'm gonna be like, oh fuck.
I know, right?
Not that I like Ree. It's just like I don't know what more she can do in her character because she is so in this squad leader, wing leader trajectory. Mm-hmm. And is this school even going to exist? And how I don't know if she'd be able to function and like what she did not serve any other purpose in this book.
She is very much like Dane in that mindset of I'm going up the ranks and
she's just gonna be a corrupt. She's moving up leadership and then they're gonna get their claws in her and they're gonna corrupt her.
Right. So like we said, I like Ree. It's not like I'm wishing any death on anyone, but I would rather vote for Ree dying in book 4 because she was Fee's first friend in terms of the parapet, true friend that was their ride or die literally because they were pretty much 1 minute from close to death in that whole thing. But I don't know, I'm going with the theory that I appreciate this because it's interesting and it makes me think more, and I'm gonna have to think about it when we reread, but I'm really hoping that if a death that big happened, it'd be on page and I'd be sobbing like a baby. That's how I want it to happen. I don't want it to happen, but if it's gonna happen, I need to feel every emotion. I can't just see it off page.
Yeah, I'm going to pretend that I didn't know this information. I'm going to live in delusion for the next however many years until we get book 4. And then in book 4, if Riddick is the one that was killed, Lo, you have my full apology for wishing warm pillows on you for like 2 years. And then I hope your pillows are ice cold on both sides.
What a great way to end that one. Oh my god. So we had one more, and ironically it was actually Billy who was responding to Lo. So I basically just was a full
Was Billy on our side? Like, don't touch a hair on Riddick's head.
Complete different different theory, but still has to do with Riddick. Billy believes that Riddick has a second signet, one that's similar to Xaden's mind reading abilities. And a lot of it stemmed from, and I'm reading it because I tried quoting you as much as I could, Billy, so apologize if I did you wrong here, but that there was suspicion that Riddick knew about the mind fighting argument trust issues that Xaden and Violet had through Iron Flame. He mentions, saying out loud what he's thinking instead of keeping his inside thoughts inside. And Billy was kind of saying it's interesting that was he hinting at something of he could see something going on without it necessarily being on their face, because I don't think they necessarily speak as much about their trust issues out loud. I think Ree's the only one who finds out, but so that's kind of where Billy was going with that, and that one had me interested on, does he have a second? And that's kind of where I think people are questioning, do the dragons kind of choose who gets a second one? Are they really trying to make people more powerful? I know Riddick's not a marked one, so with all that, thoughts.
So is Billy saying like Riddick
has a second one similar?
Noticed the trust stuff from the beginning of the book, or once he found out about the venom?
Found out through Iron Flame. So before the
Iron
venom.
Flame. Okay, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay.
You're good.
My goodness. Well, I don't think he has a second segment.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest. Just because he spent so much time honing the ice one that he has, and why would you spend so much time if you had something else that you could rely on, or even if you couldn't like tell people what it was? Like, I would just become an ice wielder.
Yeah.
Like that's what why is he trying to do all these other crazy things? I will say though, knowing his dragon and how they like to prank each other, I think it would be hilarious of Aetrum to be like, bitch, I'm gonna make you intrinsic, you can't tell anyone or you're gonna be dead.
Right. And just starts playing like a hype song in the background.
And it's like a lifelong prank. Like, how long till he cracks?
Right.
I'll survive this, you won't. Like,
You won't.
I just think that could be funny as like a prank. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Clearly it's up to them if they give 1 or 2 or 5 or whatever they want to do. Like,
right. It's,
and I think like because they just have that like silly goofy relationship, I could see that because, and again, his dragon is in his early 20s. They are the same age.
Yeah.
Around the same age. I just think that like they're giving frat bro energy together where they're just like,
such frat bros.
do you think you could handle this?
Yeah.
Oh no. Bet.
Yeah.
Watch me.
It's their version of beer pong because
yeah. I just think that could be really funny.
Yeah.
Because if it has to do with thoughts and like being able to perceive stuff, that's obviously a form of intrinsic. It's mind reading.
Yeah.
And it is the one that they will kill you for. So it just would be funny. Like a funny prank. Like, I'm going to give you a signet that you cannot let anyone know or you're dead. And I'll know if you can't keep it in because you won't be here anymore. Dead. It just could be funny.
Yeah.
But in my gut, I don't think he has one just because there was so much emphasis on him honing his skill and getting better at his skill. I also just don't think that that's the role that Riddick is supposed to play.
Yeah.
I don't think he's supposed to be this like super powerful rider. I think he's supposed to showcase that even people who are average are still important to the team. And it's, the team is as good as their weakest link. Not that I don't think he's weak. I would not say anything like that about my boy.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, like, Rebecca is basing this off of real life war and experiences of people in the army because her husband did serve for 22 years. So I think we have to keep remembering to bring it back to like, it is rooted in more realistic themes and concepts. And everyone who joins the army is coming in at different skill sets. Some people really thrive though, and they become like high ranking and, they can do all these cool things. But then there's also just like the average person who, but they're just as important to the war as everyone else. They're out there risking their lives just like everyone else. And I think that's the person that Riddick is supposed to be. And we laugh like, yeah, with the broken JBL speaker, he's there for vibes, but he's there to be the lighthearted part, to remind them like, hey, we still also have to like live our lives, and to show that, just because I'm not naturally gifted with something doesn't mean I can't strive to be better and improve. And I think that's what it is. So I genuinely do not think he has a second signet, but I think it would be fucking hilarious if he was gifted one and it was because it was solely for prank reasons.
If that ended up being the case, that would be top-notch frat bro amazing situation between the two of them. I mean, that is just asking Rebecca to do something bizarre, is giving him a second signet. You know, that would be something that we even maybe it's something we haven't even heard of, that Atrum doesn't, you know, it's you'll figure it out when you find out, you know what I mean? But I also think too, and I don't mean this against anyone who has the theory of other people being intrinsic, but it is going to be overdone, and Rebecca kind of hinted at that we don't know all the signets either, so I think there's still a handful that we are going to find out. I don't know if it'll be from the Venom side, or
interesting.
Will it be other cadets that kind of come into this group and become important, because like we saw with this book, there were a lot of the first years that were really important just from being there. So I don't want to lean into it as much just because I think it would be overdone. But to your point, I think it'd be hysterical if Atrum pulled this joke on him and just said, all right, bro, let's see how you do. That would be iconic in a way.
It'd be so funny.
It'd be so good.
And you make a good point about it. It will become repetitive, and it will kind of lose its specialness to the reader.
Right.
When it just feels like, oh, everyone in this group is intrinsic, because Dane, even though they don't qualify him as an intrinsic, I feel like, how is that not a type? I think it's because he has to touch the person, so they have to know that he's doing it.
Yeah.
But that's a mind thing. Xaden full intent, or he can read intentions. And then Violet now with the dream walking. I think, it's starting to be like, okay, you guys said it's a special, but like you seem to have a lot of people that have it.
Right.
So I agree. I think it has become a little too repetitive.
Yeah. And I think too, to your point about Riddick, you know, how he's kind of the jokester and all of that. And he had said it, I think, literally in this book of many times of, you guys all see me differently, but I am pulling my weight here. And I really think that's a big part for him, is just how much he's going to keep growing and improve himself to this group. And it's just not an ice wielder. I mean, he can do a bunch of other things if you actually looked at him instead of look beyond the first layer. He's an onion. He's got many layers to Riddick. He is just, you know.
Yeah. Honestly, Liam's death and Quinn wrecked me.
Yep.
Honestly, if she kills Riddick, I will mail her my therapy bill, because the way I am I liked him, but I wasn't. The way I am so attached to him should be studied. Like, I can't. Kill Ree, kill Sawyer, kill Sloane. I don't care. Like, I like them, but if it is between them and Riddick, I'm saving Riddick all day, every day. Don't touch a hair on his head. If he loses a limb, no.
No, I'm with you 100%. I actually texted my sister-in-law and I said, Riddick is honestly my top side character in a book ever. He has bypassed everything. And I mean, we've read a decent amount of books, but he is just so perfect. So perfect in every way. And he still has the opportunity to grow and have more to him than what's there. And I think that's what makes him so good. It's just, but this one was such a glow up for him on top of it. I mean, I loved him in the first two, but this one just solidified he was number one for me. Yeah. Done.
Top side characters, 100%. And I have to tell you, if we got a little bit more of Riddick's romantic escapades, because we know he gets around, if we got like a novella or like a couple chapters, I'm telling you, he would be on my top book boyfriend list.
100%.
Good thing I fuck like a third. You know he's got lines. He's got game. He's got swag. He's planning fun dates. I fear that I can't experience that, because he would be up there with Xaden for me, I think. In a different way. Xaden's like, my clothes are about to burn off. Riddick is like, oh my God, I'm having the best time. And I love you. And the fan art of him,
done.
He could get it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm obsessed. Good thing I fuck like a... I loved that line. We didn't even talk about it. We didn't even give it.
You know what's funny? We talked more on the eyes on me from Dane instead of the fuck like a third year.
That was my favorite. And he fucks everyone. Like, he's so inclusive.
Yeah. He doesn't care.
I love it.
And he goes, it's literally getting a little incestual in here. I need to branch out.
Yeah. Also, though, to just close out the loop on Billy's comment.
Yeah.
I also feel like their trust issues are kind of obvious. I don't think it's something that needs to be said. They're always away from each other. She's always stressed about him, and they're always making eyes at each other. Like, I think they say a lot with their body language that maybe doesn't even come across on page, but they're just picking up on it. Because even Ree's looking at him weird sometimes. Like, I don't think it is weird to assume that they would have some trust issues.
Yeah, it's not like they're holding hands and smiling.
Also, like, their entire backstory, I think
it's
that would
literally
lead to
issues.
a few trust issues. So I don't think it is anything that people wouldn't be able to figure out just based off of like context.
Agreed. Yeah.
Also, we don't get every conversation that she has with her friends. Like, you know, there's some nights where they're just yapping in their dorm room, and she's probably just like, oh,
yeah,
Zayden didn't send me the letter today from Samara. I don't know what's going on. Or, you know, maybe an Iron Flame when he flipped out. Whose flight jacket is that?
Right.
Maybe, I don't know, there was a little red flag for her friends. Like, why is he so upset that you're wearing someone else's flight jacket when it was cold and you rushed off to go see him?
The jealousy actually did start in Iron Flame for him, but it was escalated in Onyx Storm. I mean, if I could just summarize him, and was just extreme love and devotion to Violet and just his outpouring of his description. I love the differences that go, oh, when your husband says I love you, and like, actually Zayden said this, and go on the full 2-page thing about her and just go, yeah, why don't you say something like that? You know what I mean? It's just
like literally what happened with me. I finished Onyx Storm. I'm talking to Matt. He's not a reader, and you know, he could use a little help with his game. You know, we've been together for over 6 years. You know, I'm like, you could be a little flowery with your words once in a while. Not a dig at him. I'm sure, you know, you could say the same thing about me.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, can I just like read you a line? Like, I don't know. I'm just in love with this man on paper. He doesn't exist in the real world. Like, I'm going to shut up about him. And it's the line where, I think it's in chapter 48, where Zayden basically says to Violet, like, you are the temple where I worship. Mm-hmm. And I literally turned around. I was like, isn't that so romantic? Like, yes, I love you is so nice, but I don't know. I feel like, especially once you're in like a longer term relationship, you say it so often.
Yeah.
That, like, the first time you say it, the first few times you say it in your relationship, you're like, oh my God.
What?
Yeah. Now, 6 years in, we say it anytime we leave the room, we leave the house, like, love you, blah, blah, blah.
If you threw in there that you are the temple that I worship,
yeah, obviously
double take.
Inflections you can put on it to make it like more special or whatever, but like, we have said it a lot to each other, like probably hundreds of thousands of times at this point. So like, it's just like, I'm so used to hearing it. If he stopped me in the kitchen and was like, you are the temple in which I worship, I'd be like, excuse me. But no, that wasn't the reaction I got. This man turned to me and said, that line is extremely corny.
Corny is not
and that's
the
day
word
I questioned
I
all
would use.
my choices. I was like, I was so offended. I was so mad about it. And then I'm like, corny? I was ready to battle for a fictional man. I'm like, corny? Zayden Ryerson would never be corny. This is romance.
There was I don't know if you sent it to me, but there was someone did a review on Onyx Storm and said that my wife talks about Zayden more than me, or like touches Zayden more than me in this book.
Zayden sucks.
I have never felt that more in my life on how much I talk about this fictional character. At work, one of the guys, his wife reads similar books to us. And I literally was just, has she read Fourth Wing? Has she read Fourth? Has she met Zayden? He goes, who is Zayden? I go, I'm not talking to you anymore about this. If
Clearly she hasn't read it. You don't know him.
She hasn't read it. Yeah, you would know him if she did.
Yeah. He told me the lines were corny. And I said, this is why these books are written by women, for women. Because it's what we want to hear. And if a man wanted to know, they would read it. Like, I'm telling you, single guys, like,
read this.
If you're like in your like early, anytime in like your 20s, I would say, read this book. Walk up to a girl at the bar and just quote a line.
Yeah.
Be like, hello, can I buy you a drink? You can call me the wing leader.
Yeah.
I bet you anything she'd be like, that would get her attention.
Everything would drop.
Yeah. I'd be like, who the fuck are you?
immediate phone number being given.
Yes. No, instead it's like, hey, what's up?
Yeah. What are you
No one
doing in
talks
20
like these men.
minutes?
Yeah, not you.
Yeah.
Not
Driving
you.
home to bed.
To go read my book.
Yeah. About men who have better lines. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my God. The lines
Ugh.
were unmatched in this book. I couldn't.
Oh, yeah. Unmatched. 10 out of 10 recommend.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
That was so fucking much. I'm just going to stop there for a quick second. Woo.
This was long.
This is a long one.
We
All
did
right.
like 5 hours combined on Onyx Storm.
Yeah. It was such a fucking good book, though.
So good.
So good. Ugh. All right. So I think that's all we had for Onyx Storm, or at least for now. I mean, I have a feeling that we'll probably talk about it at some other point in the time of our podcast. But at least for now, that is it for Onyx Storm part 1 and part 2. In our next episode, we're just going to be going over our list of books and releases we're super excited for in 2025, because I realized we actually haven't talked about this and we're already in February. So I think there's going to be a lot of new options out there for us. For more things, Booktroverts, if you want to keep, up to date on what we're doing, if you still want to talk about Onyx Storm and Empyrean, all that stuff, we gladly will talk about it with you. I have no problem. Just follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Booktroverts Pod. We also have the Fable Book Club. You can read along with us. So that link will be in the description as well. And we'd love to hear your thoughts. But see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.